Fire for your mind. Culture clinician.
What happens when a man becomes trapped by love and modern femininity forsakes him?
Interesting to me that these are the same women shouting from the rooftops when they're our age that they feel invisible, that it's hard, that where are all the good men, that being single is so sad and depressing. So this is the wisdom, young ladies, if you're willing to listen. When you get older, you will be so grateful to not have to do the last third of life by yourself.
The Hoe Tax and the Hoe 2, Jesus Pipeline exposed.
What I realize when I talk to women, especially when they get to my age and they have not found a relationship, it is now that they're pining for the opportunities of the past when that nice guy or that good guy gave them a chance, but they thought they could do better than him. A lot of relationships fail because we expect too much from each other. Meaning, not only are you supposed to be my husband, you're supposed to be my best friend, my brunch buddy, my therapist, my workout partner, all of that. And we have lost that a husband is a role, a man is a man, he's not your bestie, and a woman is a woman. We are not equal. We are equal in value, but we are very different. And a wife is a role. And I think the example that we had at home growing up, we saw that polarity.
You know, Paco, winter is coming. I remember a time where most women had husbands, and Kevin Samuels talks about a time called winter. And you know, winter not only symbolizes the seasons that are about to come, but winter symbolizes a stage in life. When you look at some of your, yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Right,
yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I am in the storm. Okay. I got a part-time job. I'm a tax expert, so I only work during tax season. I'm 60 years old. I don't have retirement. My family is spread across the country,
yes,
and
ma'am.
I don't have a strong black man who I love black men in my life. I'm not mad. I know my time is past.
Wow.
But I am in the winter.
Wow.
I'm in the storm.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, dear. Let me ask you a question. Do you feel like there was a time when you had a viable black man, but you forfeited that by sometime bad choices?
1,000% correct.
Oh my God.
Married. I was married.
Right.
I was fine as hell. And I thought that I was black girl magic.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's why I know the devil mentality. And I thought that I was.
Go ahead, keep talking. You said you thought you were black girl magic. Keep talking, Paca.
Oh, but life and reality woke me up.
So
I've seen you on a lot of other different men's channels. Why is it so important for you to support men and male content? And tell me about it. Why is that so important for you?
It's important because we need men in our society. And it seems that we are, every turn we take, men are being placed as a lower section of society, and they are the ones that have built this incredible society for us. So my focus is we need to get back on appreciating what they've done for us, what they are doing for us, and what they will continue doing for us. But we need to appreciate what, who they are, and their strength on being masculine and providing for the families and maintaining society. So that's my main goal when I speak about protecting and defending our men.
fire for your mind. The Kosher Clinician.
If it ain't seven, it ain't kosher. Heaven and hell, that's what they told you. Real men put the strap down and we can toss them. Young heads picking back up and young dolphins. This is our culture. Now we talking kosher. Clinician, masculinity issues, absent fathers who miss you, mama drama don't kiss you, all a part of the ritual, this is how they get you, separate the men, women clipping babies pretend to, damn, lovers, haters acting like vultures, if it ain't seven, it ain't kosher, if it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us, if it ain't seven, it ain't kosher, if it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us, if it ain't seven, it ain't kosher, if it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. Listen.
We're about to start. We're gonna have a good show, guys. Hold tight. We're gonna have a good show, guys, on today. A very good show. I hope you guys can hear me. If y'all can hear me, hit 1. And we're gonna have a great show on today. I look forward to this conversation with Maggie, the substitute teacher, but also with Luke Hazley. Her and Maggie both are in personification of wisdom, but also old school femininity, something that's been faltering in modern times. I've always said that a woman and her femininity is something I said in the past. I call it a feminine oscillator. An oscillator is like a fan. You know, when you think about a fan, you think about the oscillation, it's wind. And when the fragrance of femininity is sprayed upon a man, what it does, it grounds him, it centers him, it inspires him, and it pushes him to excellence. We're going to look at what happens when a man falls in love, and we're going to look at the dangers of love in a time when men that fall in love are often forsaken. So without further ado, we're going to have a powerful show, guys. I got Maggie, the substitute teacher in the house, old school Gen X stand-up. And I got the talented Luke Hazley in the house, a good friend of mine. It's a pleasure to have you guys in the house. 2 beautiful young ladies that I respect highly. They're trying to get the conversation moving forward in a time when not only heteronormative masculinity is under attack, but striving to be feminine is also under attack, as so many women are becoming saboteurs of their own ignorance. So without further ado, Maggie, introduce yourself, and then we'll go to my friend Luke Hazley, and we're going to have a very important conversation.
Well, hello and good evening, everyone. Hello,
Yes, ma'am.
Edition, and hello, Lucy. Good to see you. For anybody who doesn't know, I'm Maggie, the substitute teacher. I make food and femininity content. I always like to say I'm just a mom on the internet, but I am passionate about marriage and family, and I believe that femininity is our superpower, and that's what Lucy and I have done consistently for several years. Now we're taking a step back, but I'm happy to be here.
Yes, ma'am. All right. So Lou, introduce yourself there, and tell the people who you are and what you're about.
Hi, Maggie. Hi, Kosher. Thank you for having me here. Yes. Maggie and I met, I think it was through Kevin Samuels.
Okay.
I used to moderate his chat, and then we moved over to the lead attorney, and together we got together to create curriculum for the Finishing School for the Modern Woman.
Right.
And we have known each other, I don't know, 5 years, maybe 6, I don't know, for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I used to do, I still have a channel, but I don't post any more content anymore because I slowed down a lot, especially with my husband. You know, he's getting older. You know, we got to take care of the home, and you know, and social media takes a lot away. It takes
a lot. Yes, ma'am.
From your daily living. Yes. So I'm here just to put a little bit, again, a little drop in the bucket to see if we can start getting back to basics in society, because society at this time is not looking good.
It's not looking good at all. And, you know, I'm glad you said that because I am a content creator, but I'm also a licensed therapist. And a lot of you guys know, it literally took me about off and on editing and cutting and thinking and planning, I promise you at least 9 hours. And so, guys, if you like what I'm doing, go subscribe to Megan's the Substitute Teacher, Luke Casely, and donate to the channel. It takes a lot of time, a long time to put this stuff together. You know, I'm an entrepreneur. I work for myself, and it's very arduous. It's extremely arduous, but more or less it's extremely arduous because you're trying to synchronize everything so that we can keep the engagement up. So if you like what I'm doing, guys, go and support the channel, and also please donate. Let's get into it, guys. Anita Baker wrote a song. You know, it's funny. I was looking at some of Maggie content. Maggie was flexing on me because I've always used Anita Baker as a crooner. You know, her music is hypnotizing when it comes down to the essence of femininity. And Anita Baker wrote a song years ago called "Rhythm of Love." Beautiful song. I was actually doing some music therapy with one of my clients, and I was talking and asking her about what the rhythm of love actually means. And I tell men this, that you should love your woman, you should die for your woman, and you should protect your woman, because that enhances a man's masculinity. But see, here's a problem. Falling in love in modern times, and I use that word intentionally, fall, you're actually telegraphing your own doom if you don't have boundaries, principles, and belief systems that supersede a fleeting feeling called love. It's nothing wrong with love, but love without purpose and measure can be very deleterious to a man. That's why I tell young men when I'm in my practice, I say, if you believe in faith, you love God first. Then you focus on your purpose, and then you love and protect your woman. But to love your woman outside of those elements can be extremely dangerous. And, you know, men feel forsaken many times because they're trapped by the feeling called love. And I've always said many times, 4 or 5 years ago, that a hopeless man is a broken man, and a broken man is dangerous. And something happened, guys, last week where there was propaganda, where there were saboteurs that were trying to denigrate, especially black men. You know, black men always get the bad rap. It's being complicit in femicide. And listen, we take, you know, the women that lost their lives, that's unfortunate, and I take that serious. But to use propaganda media and propaganda politics to denigrate black men, to paint a false narrative, I take great umbrage with that. Because I would say on average that most men are solid dudes. You know, you got young guys that are 20, 30, 48, don't even bother nobody. They're in the basement playing video games. But we tend to assail those men that are innocent bystanders with the percentage of fools that were complicit in destroying women. And I take umbrage with that. And so we're going to have a very good conversation. But the art of femininity, what does that mean to you, Maggie, the Substitute Teacher? And then we will go to Luke Casely.
Wow, the art of femininity. I haven't heard it described that way, but I think of the other arts, music, dance, sculpture, painting, all of those things inspire us. All of those things bring beauty. All of those things give us a moment to pause and reflect and appreciate the small things, like Lucy says, the delicate things, you know, the finer things without, you know, expecting it to cost anything. But I think femininity is really just our true nature. My man always says, you know, Maggie, tell the ladies you're already feminine. You just have to stop fighting it. And I think if we get back to the core of who we are, the art of femininity is easier than we think. It's not so much what we do, it's what we don't do. And the modern world has driven us to go counter to our natural culture.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I agree with you 100%. Shout out to my man, Real Bravado Network in the house. Do the fire. I'm glad you have two of my favorite women on. I just got off work, but good seeing you ladies. Lou, how would you articulate the art of femininity? What does that mean to you? And then I'll give you guys my perception of the art of femininity. Go ahead.
I think, as Maggie said, it's we are our men's inspiration. Men look at us, men look at femininity, and they want it around because we're the ones that put the beauty in the world. At least that's what I think it is to be feminine. They build us the home. We come in and make it pretty for them.
Yes,
we just put those touches that really they're too busy. I'm just thinking about my husband. They're too busy building outside, doing everything, and we are the ones that make his world beautiful for him. We are the ones that give them peace. They come into the house and they want to be here at home, and they don't want to go outside and slay those dragons once they get home. So again, we are the ones that put the beauty in their lives.
Yeah. I totally agree. It's funny you say that because when I was a bachelor, my pad was very basic, and most men are basic when it comes down to amenities. We can live on an air mattress and just have basic stuff. But then my wife came in, she put on a like a picnic table with red and white. She started changing stuff around. Like she come up here nested, but it felt good for her to come in and arrange stuff because I'm not tripping on it. I can live off the very basics. My house would have looked like abstract art painting if I would have been there, but she came there and add color to it. And so I'm gonna say that the art of femininity to me is a woman that has not only emotional intelligence, because a lot of times we think that women tend to have emotional intelligence, and I would argue that most women are not centered and grounded enough to personify emotional intelligence. I will also argue that historically men, because men are the romanticeers, we've always personified romantic intelligence because we had to understand the nature of a woman in order to get her to bend to our will and also to get her to come into our essence. And so when I think about the art of femininity, it's like a dance. It's a dance where the woman is intentional. She reads the room. She knows the temperature. She sets the tone. And she knows how to speak into the heart of a man. She's always in synchronicity with that man. I call it optimized, Maggie and Lou, to be synchronized. And when that balance is like a wave, I call it a verve. Then that man and woman are in synchronicity, and the man feels good, and the man is more motivated to go forth and take care of that woman. Teddy Pendergrass wrote a song back in the day in the 70s. He said, "You're the greatest and the latest." He said, "You're my inspiration." And then he said, "You inspire me." But see, we live in a time now where a lot of men are not inspired. They're defeated. They don't feel safe in relationships because, see, there's a dynamic associated with men protecting women. The masculine always protects and projects the world to a woman. But also the feminine has to harness the masculine by protecting the masculine, protecting his mind, protecting his peace, and protecting his image. But men have been conditioned from the annals of times from day one to always bend to the will of a woman, to bend to the will of her needs at his expense. I see it all the time in therapy, especially with my men. And what happens many times, they are drained, they're not inspired, and they're not motivated to push forward. I hear some women say men need to build. Men say build for what? What am I getting if I build? I'm not getting quality. I'm not getting somebody that understands her role, not understanding that, men and women are equal in human essence. But we're not equal in role and design. We were designed to do different things. There are things that women have that supersede men, but there are things that men have that supersede women. But when those two complements come together, we have what's called soul fusion. And so the world that we live in now always tell men to always give, but they're not giving men nothing in return. The OJ's wrote a song, Maggie and Lou, back in the day, said you got to give the people. You got to give the people what they want. And so until the modern woman gives the man what he wants, there can never be the love fusion. And I tell men to stand on business, stand on boundaries, never waver in their convictions as men, demand what they want in a relationship, and be ready to give it to that woman if she's ready and she's a willing participant to receive the beauty of love. How would you respond to that?
Is that one for me?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. How would you respond to that? I know I said a lot.
Yeah, that was a lot. I don't know if you had a specific question or if you wanted just my thoughts on what you said.
Yeah. That's your thoughts on what I said. Yes, ma'am.
I do agree that men and women, I say often, we're not equal. We're equal in value, but very different. And those differences, like you said, are the roles that we provide in a relationship, and
Right.
both are necessary. And I love what you said about how your wife spruced up
Oh,
your
yeah.
your first place. And I saw in the comments, and Lucy and I have talked about this. Most men would be okay with the studio
Oh, yeah.
apartment,
We were okay with the studio apartment, right?
beater pickup truck, and just living, their life. And women, we have to realize that all of the extra that men do is for our benefit. It's for
Hmm.
our comfort. They
Yes.
don't need all of the finer things in life. So when we appreciate that, like you said, we can turn a house into a home. We can turn ingredients into a meal. We can turn a simple gathering into something memorable. Those are all of the things that femininity can do. The one thing I wouldn't
disagree respectfully. I would just say, you did say at the end, men need to demand what they want.
Mm-hmm.
I understand and I don't disagree. However, I
Right.
think that escalation comes from men allowing women to go on with bad behavior for too long.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. You're right.
So in my case,
agree.
Mr. President, he sat me down on the second date and told
Yes,
me,
ma'am.
this is what I'm going to do for you. This
Yes.
is the timeline I'm working with.
Yes,
These are
right,
my
right.
expectations. Do
Yes.
that. And when
Yes.
you have that certainty in the beginning, you're both just walking out what was already the plan.
Right.
So there really is no debate or arguing or I thought, well, you said. A lot of that goes away. I think that's part of the problem that we have in relationships now. So that was my only counter, if you will.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Oh, no. You're 100% correct. Frederick Douglass once said, Maggot, that power never conceded to nothing without a struggle. It never have and it never will. And I do believe that you have to set the groundwork from day one. You have to properly enunciate what you want and need in a relationship. The problem is we live in a time where a lot of men have not been calibrated, like in other countries, to assert and ask for what they want in a relationship. There's a clinical concept that I see a lot of times with a lot of men. It's an ego defense mechanism called introjection, and we'll talk about that at some point. But Lou, how would you respond to what Maggie said real quick? Go ahead. You're muted there.
I was thinking about what you were saying, Kosher and Maggie, and sometimes when my mind just veers off on just different things. And one of the things that is really important to remember is that women, again, as you said, you and Maggie said, women are women right now because men allowed the behavior to continue.
Right,
Again,
right.
Feminism wouldn't be feminism if those men didn't put a stop at the beginning.
Yes,
So
right.
again, we have, as women, we have the capacity or the ability to just blend into things and make them great or
Right.
make them worse. And
Right.
right now, unfortunately, that bad behavior has been part of society for too long, that it's going to take a while to go back to basics and have now it's really, really young women, because women over 30, I think that they've decided to be who they are and there's no turning back on them.
Right.
But we will start with the younger generation and start maybe with the basics, manners, just being polite, just accepting that there is authority in the world, and we can't just talk back to people that have authority over us. Again, we have allowed that to happen to this point, and now it's out of control.
It's out of control. But I love what you and Maggie said. Maggie, you are correct, and I'm glad that you and Mr. President had that very pointed conversation. But let me add a little bit of insight from a clinical perspective. Human beings are what I call trichotomous. That's a very what can I call it? A GRE word. It's an offshoot of a dichotomy. Human beings are soul, mind, body, and spirit. And so this is what happens when you get socialized to see yourself not within the framework of masculinity. It takes time to break that conditioning. Now, in theory, you're correct. Men should stand up and say, no, men are beginning to speak up now. But when you've been socialized for so many years to see things through the lens of your mother, to see things through the lens of women, to see things through the lens of the approval of your mother and women, then you can't, it's hard to break that kind of conditioning. I'll give you guys an example. I have 3 sisters. One passed away. My mom died last year. I love my mom. I think about her all the time. I miss her. But I said, hold up, something's wrong with this picture. My masculine alarm kept coming on. Because I always tried to see things through the lens of understanding. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying not to understand mom and women, but it was to the point where I was compromising my masculinity for the approval of what they wanted and doing, while indignifying myself. And what I'm saying is that true heteronormative masculinity doesn't do that. What it does is speaks truth to power. It says what it means. It does it respectfully, because see, there's a difference between a good man and a nice guy. A nice guy is just a facade. He's an avatar. It's not who he really is. He does it for the approval of women. And what happens when things don't go right, then he lash out because he's not getting his needs met. But he's done that because he's been conditioned to respond a certain way for the approval of a woman. What I tell men is that to stand firm, stand free, say what you want to say, respect your woman, but don't waver in your convictions. Come up with core boundaries and value systems, and let your value system be the anchor to what your values are. The problem is so many young men have not been given the opportunity to do that. And so when you've been psychologically conditioned to see things through the lens of affirmation and appeasement of women, then you become a victim of your own ignorance. So it's important for us to get back to that, but this is what I think. I think this issue that we have now is spiritual. I like what you said, Megan, when I was looking at some of your commentary. I don't see it getting any better in our lifetime. And it's not because I'm being nihilistic, but I'm being very pragmatic and also being highly realistic. The great teacher Jesus said, you can't take new wine and put it into old wineskin. Then he said, if God builds the house, if God doesn't build the house, then the labor he builds it in vain. The paradigm or the foundation is broken, is faulty. And so we keep trying to put new wine into a broken foundation, and then we look silly when we don't get the results that we want. And so I do believe in femininity. I do believe in love within reason. I do believe in the power of a woman's touch. I do believe that women can inspire men to greatness, but there must be nuance to it, and there must also be reciprocity in those said relationships. I'm going to ask you guys, we're going to get more into it. I'm going to bring a feed up because we're going to cook today. We're going to have a good time today, guys. I got 2 Gen X sisters in the house. Maggie, substitute teacher, and the lovely and the beautiful Lucas, all the way from Venezuela. I always told somebody, if I ever get married again, I'm going to Africa. I might even go to Ghana. Some pretty chocolate women in Ghana. I might go to South America. If I ever do it again, I've been with my wife for 33 years. But I told my wife, I said, baby, if I do it again, I'm going to the motherland, and I'm going to them Latin countries to get me some of that spicy. Some of that spicy, hot Latin women, because it ain't nothing like them Latin women. Something else, man. They like the young folks say, they straight pressure. From rational ladies to hoflation. Dr. Orion Taraban said, Maggie and Lucy, that you got a generation of women that have demands. I call it the hoe tax, because they charge good men the hoe tax after they've given all their virtue away. And so they went from more or less hoflation, they went from hoflation to asking men to give them the best, from rational ladies to hoflation. And years ago, Maggie, I heard what you said about your parents, your progeny. You know, it was inspiring to hear that your mom is a PhD, your dad's a PhD, but your mom still said that, you know, I love my man and I'm gonna go perform duty. You know, people don't like that word duty because duty sounds like servitude, but what they don't understand is that men and women serve one another. It's just different. We serve in different forms, but the word husbandry actually means to serve. But see, you know, only in America do we have these convoluted conversations that, you know, it's a term that I created called schema afflictions. And schemas are tied to core beliefs and not predicated in reality. And so these schemas keep women gridlocked into what's called arrested development, because anytime they see any man masculated to a man desires, it's always predicated in fear. And many times it's predicated in the term that I created called trauma, vicarious trauma by proxy, meaning they live through vicariously the traumas of their mothers, their sisters, and other women. They want to keep them in bondage because they're not willing to look at themselves and say, what can I do to change? Now, I'm going to ask you guys a question. You guys evolve. You guys evolve to become cogent, beautiful women, and you guys understand the power of femininity. When did you come to your evolution, Maggie, about evolving as a feminine woman, and how did that add value to your life?
Okay, so I have always been the one to fall on my sword and tell on myself and say, yes, I am a reformed modern woman.
I respect it. Right.
Even though I had a very traditional upbringing, and I'm grateful for that, because I was able to course correct because I had the foundation. Right. However, whether it was college or corporate America, like you said, we are socialized to believe that anything you can do, I can do better.
Yes, ma'am. Right.
When girls are raised up now, it's almost like your feminine traits are a weakness. You know, anything that what we now know is an asset, we're kind of taught to, you know, shove it down and be just like one of the boys. So to answer your question, I married my college sweetheart together for 18 years, married for 10 years, 2 boys. But I admit that I was competitive. I
Right.
was
Right.
ambitious. I
Right.
still have a lot of that, but I've
Hmm.
learned that it doesn't
Hmm.
get me where I want to go. And
Right.
so
Right. Right.
unfortunately, the marriage did end in divorce. And for
Hmm.
me, that was very humbling because I'm
Hmm.
one of those people that usually what I work hard at, I succeed. And so that was a big check to my ego to have a failed marriage. Luckily, we co-parent really well. You know, the boys are now 16 and 18, but life brought me back to someone from my childhood, Mr. President.
Mr.
And
President.
like
Right.
I said, he sat me down, but not only that, I was able to see the caliber of man that he is and tell myself, if I don't want to repeat this mistake and I want to be around where he's going, with or without me,
Hmm.
I need to change. And
Yes.
so I started making some changes. I mean, you know about the finishing school, I enrolled myself, but the long and short of it, and what I tell women, I think we try to overcomplicate it. If your man compliments you on something, do more of that. And
Right.
if he says, I don't like this, don't do it again. It's
Right.
really not that difficult. And so I
Right.
noticed when I was softer, when my communication was better, when I was more patient and less impulsive, he would respond well to that. And so
Yes. Right.
really
Right.
EQ of reading the
Right.
room. But I do
Hmm.
think we just blow past stuff, or maybe our pride
Hmm.
is like, I don't care, this is just me. But that's not
Right.
going to get you the outcome that you want when
Yes,
you're
ma'am.
engaged.
Yes, ma'am. Lou, how would you respond to that, dear? And before you respond, shout out to my man Tip Network in the house. I got nothing but love and respect for that brother. He said, allow me to respectfully to donate to a great channel with 2 classy ladies. True indeed. Go ahead, Lou. How would you respond to that?
Unfortunately, in the Western world, we women, we tend to do what other women do. So when it comes to that, appreciating femininity, if you're in a group of women that, the rest of the women tell you, oh, that is, you don't do that anymore. That's old school. They shame you for being
Yes.
girly. They shame you
Yes. Yes.
for wanting to have that, going back to basics, the nuclear family, thinking about a husband and how you're going to have babies and a family. They shame you for it. They tell you, you have all this time in the world and, you can have a family later on in life. And now you see all these young women that could have had a husband from in their 20s. Now they're in their mid 30s.
Right.
Now they want someone right away. It doesn't matter who, because their clock is ticking,
Clock
and
is
they
ticking.
want to have, that family in a matter of a year or two. When they were in their 20s, they probably had 2 or 3 really great men that were
Yes. Yes.
good options, and
Yes,
they let
ma'am.
it by because they were
They let
either
it by.
told by their family members,
Right.
their colleges, movies, and the environment, society, that they still had time to do whatever they wanted to do when they were 20 in their 30s.
Yes, yes, and one of the greatest, Meg, I know you got a son, and I've seen some. He's a valiant young man, and I know you're proud of him. And I believe young men like your son and other young men that made good choices, they deserve to get the best of the best of the best of the best of women. I'm raising my daughters to be virtuous women. I got a daughter in college. She'll be an upcoming senior. I got my little, I call her my little princess fairy. She's 16. She's a beautiful young lady, very extremely feminine, very soft spoken. And I'm hoping that my daughters can get good men, good men like your son to serve in our country, and good men to understand the importance of family. And I'm so honored, Maggie, that you've been transparent in this conversation. Because let me tell you something, Maggie, what men are not stupid. There are some women that come in these spaces, they're not really genuine. I call them trad cons versus trad cons. They talk about being traditional conservative women, but it's just a traditional con game. It's not real. It's just a facade, because some of these women are tired. They've had their fun. They ran to the Statue of Liberty only to be pushed away because the Statue of Liberty said, no, we can't take you no more. We can't take you. Bring me your tithe and your post. The Statue of Liberty said, no, I can't do nothing with you now. That vagina is tired. That vagina is poor. And it's looking for somebody to come and be a sucker. And the Statue of Liberty said, look, I lied to you, but I ain't got no money. You know, I'm broke. And so now they're trying to find refuge in an unsuspecting man that's going to come and pick up the bag and be a sucker. And so I respect you guys because you are genuine. For you to be that transparent and say I was a modern woman, that lets me know, okay, she's a real one. Because a lot of times the women that come in these spaces, they're not real. And I just listen to them because they always tell on themselves, you know. They always tell on themselves, or they'll get mad, or when I say something, sometimes I give it the whole test, and they'll run away and get mad. Don't come back again. But I've always said, if it's not you, then why take it personal? I'm not talking about you. When people call me dusty and broke, I'm not dusty and broke. I'm a 5-star recruit. I'm highly educated. I'm Ivy League educated. I went to the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. I've studied hard. I worked very hard. I worked like a dog to get to where I'm at. So, you know, so I don't get upset when women call men dusty because I know I'm not dusty. But they think that by trying to perform a certain way, they can maneuver themselves, which is highly manipulative and pathological, to convince men that they're changed. But they're not really changed, because a lot of times once they get that ring, hold tight, y'all gonna laugh at this. Once they get that ring, that smiggle comes out. You know, they act like they sweet and special, but once they get that ring, Mag and Lou, the mask comes off. Hold on, let me see if I can find smiggle. The mask comes off. You know, you thought you had something virtuous and sweet, but that mask start coming off, because you know what? You can't be faithful for so long. You can't be faithful for so long, and then the mask comes off, and that man thought he had something virtuous. He really didn't have anything at all. So hold tight.
I told them the other night is trigger. Once you trigger them, the mask gonna come off.
You know, the mask gonna come off. Yes, ma'am. I've seen it.
We've seen it. We've seen it.
I've seen it.
All you have to do is trigger them, and the real them will come.
The real them will come out. You're right.
Out the door. They'll start talking about your little ping. They'll start cussing you out. You know, what's gone? Salvation gone. She no longer a church girl. She don't forgot about her call as a pastor because she cussed you out now. It is a real thing. It is a real thing.
Yeah. Or these things still therapists.
Why is it so important for you guys to be transparent and honest? What have you guys learned about the power of transparency and honest when it comes down to femininity?
Okay, so if that's for me, I think if your morals and if honesty is part of your moral and value, just the fabric of who you are, it's going to be hard not to be transparent.
Right.
Lucy and I have both extended grace to women who come into our spaces, and then we realize, oh, okay, you just wanted to be around these caliber of women, but you really didn't have any intention on doing the work because of this work. Right. For me, I think that's the only thing that's sustainable. I know, especially in this space, you know, anybody can have a channel, anybody can have a podcast, but I believe and we teach that all of us have a brand. We're all leaving something behind. And for me, it's really important, especially as older women. I don't think there's any shame in saying, I've messed up. And this is how you can avoid that if you genuinely want to help. I think some people have other intentions, and they think that if they just, I don't know how I got here, I'm just unlucky in love, and kind of play this game like you didn't have any fault in why you are where you are, it makes them look better. But it's actually the opposite, because people know the human experience is success and failure. We all have gone through that. So if you don't have any area of improvement, if you don't have any feedback that you've been given that you needed to do better, if you don't have any reason why you have not been successful, I think it's a natural suspicion that people will have, and it ends up being much worse for you than if you had just been honest. And at my age, I'm not a good liar anyway. I don't have a poker face. I'm telling the truth. Either you like it or you don't.
Yes, ma'am. I love it. How would you respond to what Maggie said, Lou? Go ahead there.
It's true. You will catch a pretender. The more they speak, the more they, their what they say does not match what they do. Unfortunately, with these women in the Western world and social media, they are great at dressing up the part. But when you look behind all that pretty stuff, there's a lot of skeletons in that closet that they're trying to push in,
Yes,
and they're
right.
trying to keep from coming out. So again, Western society has allowed women, especially pretty women, to avoid accountability.
Yes.
Okay, because she's pretty and you don't tell her those things because you're going to hurt her feelings.
You're right.
And unfortunately, we have taught society that hurting feelings is bad and you don't touch that. And we need to get to a point where, we got to hurt your feelings for you.
We got to hurt your feelings.
To maybe
right.
stand accountable for your actions is.
Right. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I want to show you guys something as we're talking about the art of femininity. And the conversation is what happens when a soft answer turns away wrath instead of this. Most men have never heard a soft answer from their woman. I will argue Maggie and Lou, and this is going to sound controversial. I had a conversation with Dr. Helen Smith. She wrote the book Men on Strike. And his side, shout out to Dr. Helen Smith, somebody that I respect highly. But I said something that was very profound, but also maybe shocking. And, I know that, I know Mag is an intellectual and Lou is also as well. You guys are intellectuals. But I said that most men have never had an orgasm. They said, well, people look, what do you mean? Oh, no, most men have never had an orgasm. And what I mean by that, I'm not talking about a physical orgasm because most men have had that. But they've never had a mental orgasm. They've never had that soft, feminine woman that speaks life into them. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. It's so powerful that when men travel abroad, they become extremely emotional. Because they've never had that mental orgasm from a woman that's soft and kind and she's concerned about his needs and she's vibrant and she's soft and she's willing to say, I'm sorry for my bad behavior. She's willing to do it. And most men have never seen that. I'm going to show you guys something because I do believe that men are the original romanticeers. I do believe that men have been conditioned to give women something called Eros love. And so I'm going to play this real quick and then we're going to get deep back into a whole time.
Romanticism is a movement in the arts and literature that originated in the late 18th century, emphasizing inspiration, subjectivity, and the primacy of the individual. Romanticism, also defined in the dictionary, is the state or quality of being romantic. But something has begun to happen in these modern times in the Western world when many men feel that marriage is not a viable commodity for most modern men. In the past, when you go back to the 60s, you had groups like the Temptations. You had groups like Sam Cooke. You had groups like the Stylistics. You had groups like Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. You had groups like Blue Magic. And all the other romantic groups that were actually part of a time when love was actually in the air and the women actually responded to or acquiesced to the needs and demands of many men at that time. But now it appears that many men are frustrated with modern dating and relationships as many men feel that modern women don't meet their demands or needs. And because modern women don't meet the demands or needs of modern men, many men are saying to themselves that marriage is no longer a viable commodity. And because marriage is no longer a viable commodity, many men have actually begun to shut down mentally. They begin to shut down socially, and they have begun to look within to find the love in the relationships that they're not getting in the current world that we live in. The question remains that in this modern world, in this modern contextual framework, is marriage a viable commodity for most modern men? Should men focus on themselves, and should men do what's best for themselves when it comes down to finding a woman of substance? Are modern women wife ready? Is romanticism and love dead? I want you guys to explore and begin to enjoy this show as we talk about the dynamics that have been impacted many modern men and women. And we're going to ask ourselves the question, if marriages are actually dead, what would be the outcomes for the future generations when it comes down to stability and community? If the marriages are also dead, What are modern women willing to do to acquiesce to the needs of men? Because in a relationship, it takes two in order to make that relationship become pliable, sustainable, and great. And therefore, the question.
Romanticism is gone. It's dead. When I was talking to Dr. Helen Smith, she wrote the book Men on Strike, but she said they're no longer on strike. They don't care anymore. They're gone. What do you think about that little clip, Maggie, real fast, and then I'll pick it back on Lou. And before you guys say something, shout out to my big sis, my little baby sis. She sent me $20 super chat. She showed me some love, man. So shout out to little big. I call her little big sis. She's literally about 6 feet tall, 6'1". I'm 6'6", but I call her little big sis. All right, so go ahead, Maggie, and then Lou Casey. Go ahead.
Okay, so I don't know if you had a specific question, but if you're talking about the concept of men kind of giving up, unfortunately, I agree. There was a time when if a woman came from a good family and she was raised right, men would take the risk of investing time and resources on her because the return on that investment was something that would be beneficial to him. And we've already talked a little bit about how we've gotten here and women have strayed away from their femininity. But I would just say this again, not to disagree, but men have probably checked out of giving all this accolades in mass, but like the late great Kevin Samuel said, all you need is one. I think when a man has a good woman, he still wants to pour in to his woman. He still wants to take care of his wife. I think women, like Lucy said, especially women who were pretty and who had that advantage young, got used to everywhere they went, they got special treatment. You know, every man that looked at them was falling over himself. And so that has become the expectation. And it was never supposed to be that way, right? You light up the eyes, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So yes and no, if you will. Men have checked out, and I think rightfully so. I think it kind of swung out of order in that direction. And I think now it's coming back down to you're gonna have to earn that special treatment.
You gotta earn it, Meg. You said you hit it right on the head. You gotta earn. Listen, Meg, I'm gonna have to put you on with the OJs because you gotta earn it. E.F. Hutton said we got it the old-fashioned way. We earned it, and these heifers now don't want to earn it. We're gonna talk about the whole tax in a minute. But shout out, Meg. I think this goes to you, Meg, about serving Gray. I'll let you read it, Meg. That's for you. Go ahead.
This is from C. Irving. He has been supporting Lucy and me for so many years across the pond. Thank you for the 10 euros. He says, it's sad to me when folks who have been chronically single start blaming the other gender why they are still single. That time should be used for self-reflection, accountability, and course correction. Thank you, Irving.
No doubt, no doubt. The evolution of Lou Casey. What does that mean? You've learned, you've grown. Were you always this dynamic or you had to evolve? Go ahead, Lou.
That's an interesting question. I guess I've evolved when it comes to my introversion, because for the most part, I am very introverted. I never saw myself being on social media and, you know, discussing topics, sometimes controversial topics. But I think that you have to evolve in life. You have to be willing to, I don't know, open up a book, learn about different things, and find things that interest you. For me, the way I see Western society, I compare it a lot with where I came from, South America. And I see that a lot of this westernized behavior is seeping through South America too.
Yes, right.
So
yes,
it's
ma'am.
going there. Again, I don't know how it can be stopped. I don't know if it can be at all, but I think that is something that we as a society that want the best for our children, it might take separation. It might take us, you know, one group of people going one way and another group of people going the other way. I think on the video that you shared just right now, the question was, what will this do to society when once men and women want nothing to do with society? Right. Well, it's going to be society's destruction. Or, as other men have done, they go out in other countries and they create their lives in other countries. Because I think I've said it before, if they bring their women from the other countries over here, it's so pernicious, the behavior, that they learn how to be modern in this world, and they're the ones that, you know, that ask for a divorce once they see that they can be out there doing their own thing. So again, it's interesting to see the slow crumbling of culture and society. And it's going to take a group of people to say, no, it stops here and we're going to have to rebuild.
Well, I like what Maggie said, and Maggie is correct. When men start saying no, then they will have no other choice but to conform. The problem is when they come back, what are they giving men? And I will argue that most are not giving men anything but trauma, a bad attitude, and debt. And so a lot of men say, "No, I'm just good. I'm good." I mean, and listen, I'll ask you ladies the question. Lou, you're from Venezuela, and I know Maggie, your roots go back to Ghana. How did you navigate it when you were more or less, how can I say, seduced? Maybe. How have you been able to manage being seduced into being the modern woman, being from another country? Because you guys have held the line. So how have you done it? And also, Maggie, how have you done it? How have you guys held the line when it comes down to holding up virtue to the necessary for making your man feel good?
Okay. So you want to know how I was able to fall into the trap of modern femininity and then course correct?
Yes, ma'am. I like how you said that. Yes, ma'am.
Modern feminism. Okay.
Right.
The danger is, I don't think there's one moment where you go from being, you know, traditional nuclear family to thinking, you know, I am woman, hear me roar. I think it is a collection of, like, as they say, death by 1,000 cuts. And it starts, you know, in school. Again, thankfully, I had the good example at home, but being, I don't want to use the word groomed, but being groomed to be productive in a way that is more professional, having that celebrated, and things that are feminine or womanly downplayed, getting rewarded. You know, I've been an executive, big job, big bonuses, all of that. It's like a system that it just feeds on itself. And before you know it, you want more. We live in a consumer culture, right? So you want the trips and you want the car and you want the big house. And that just feeds into burning the candle at both ends. And then before you know it, either your body's breaking down, or I remember being louder than I wanted to be, harsher than I wanted to be, just moving fast, bowling the kids in the school door, pulling up on 2 wheels, just a mess. And then you realize, like, how did I get here? So it evolved over the early part of my professional career, late college, early corporate. And then, you know, like I said in the first question, the way for me to course correct was intention. Knowing that if I continue down this path, I already have one failed marriage. I never want to make that mistake again. So that was my North Star, if you will. I know what I did to get to that point. So if nothing else, I'm going to do the opposite of that. And then having a really strong masculine man who made it really clear and really consistent what he would tolerate and what he wouldn't, and then left the decision up to me. And I've never been happier.
No doubt. Lou, how do you keep yourself grounded and not get caught up in the pernicious virus called modernism and feminism? How do you keep yourself grounded? Because I'm sure it's probably trying to whistle in your ear at times, but how have you kept yourself grounded and stayed the course, being dedicated to love your husband and also to serve him?
Well, my mom and dad have been married for 60 years now. So they've been a great example on how it is to be living with someone for so many years, taking the good, the bad, the ugly, the how they call here in the modern world, they say that marriage is boring. I will take boring anytime. A lot of these women get divorced because they were bored. And they have no idea what it is to just have an uneventful, peaceful relationship. You come in, you clean your house, you make the food for your husband. He's out there right now. I don't know. I think he's mowing the lawn and he's cleaning the yard. I'm in here. He knew that I was going to have this discussion with you. And then life goes on. Modern women think that the man is going to be out there doing everything and anything for you. And you're going to be in bed just waiting for things just to happen. And that's not the right way that things happen. And also, I think that the United States has made it so easy for women just to be, to not do anything. Because in Nicaragua, where I was born, and in Venezuela, you had to be around your dad, your brothers, your whoever was courting you, because life outside was hard. And if you weren't in a marriage, life gets much, much harder in third world countries where the lifestyle is completely different than here. So again, an easy life has allowed women to think that they can do it all. And unfortunately, it's going to get to a point where it's going to be really hard for them. And then they're going to say, I'm 65 years old. I don't have a husband. I don't have children. I still have to work until I'm 75. What have I done with my life?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, they singing that song by New Edition called "The End of the Road." I like something, Maggie, you said a couple of minutes ago. And Maggie, you actually were right. Maggie, you got an A+ on the test, and you went and changed the answer. You were 100% correct. It was something about grooming, and you were right. The word bridegroom actually comes from the father grooming or teaching the daughter the mandates so that she can be prepared to be given over to her husband. That's where the word bridegroom comes from. And so you were correct when you say groom. That's not a false, a negative connotation. You're right. She's supposed to be groomed. Grooming is the process of preparing her as preparation. Like some women get triggered by the word train, but the word train just means to teach. If I went if I sent my daughter to your wife's school, you would be training her / teaching her the essence of femininity. But see, in this culture we live in now, anytime we use words like submit, obey, or train, they always equate it to slavery. But yet I thought the happy wife, happy life was being a slave, because happy wife, happy life basically means that he got to tap dance and do what she say. And if he don't do what she say, he ain't gonna get none. I know men that are in relationships, Maggie and Lou, that pay bills and they still don't get no loving. They still going through an emotional deficit. They're still broken because they have been spellbound by the trap called love. That's why I call it trapped by love, only to be forsaken. And many times when that happens, a man is broken. He's very broken. And sometimes when that man is broken, he can do maladaptive coping mechanisms. It might look like alcoholism. It might look like smoking weed. It might look like abandonment, isolation. It might look like having sex with multiple women. It might look like being not motivated. It might look like depression. It might look like sometimes, sadly, domestic violence. In the worst case, it could be homicide, because a broken man is a hopeless man, and a hopeless man is dangerous. And so once these men get into these predatory relationships, and I did say predatory, the woman they thought was going to protect his six, the mask comes off. And she stopped performing because she said, I got you now, sucker. Because if you divorce me, you're going to lose half of everything you got. And those men are afraid to move on. They're petrified. I had a situation, Lou and Maggie, where a man said he hadn't had any intimacy from his wife for 10 years. 10 years. I spoke to a white gentleman at the bar one day, and he said he was a big-time real estate broker here in the Tar Heel state. And he hadn't had intimacy from his wife in 20 years. And that is psychological abuse. that woman is cheating on that man when she deprives that man of what's rightfully his. Because when you're married, a woman's job is to take care of her husband, and the man's job is to take care of his wife. And so when that man married that woman, he married that woman with the understanding that he will have sexual exclusivity only from her, only to be hoodwinked once he say I do, and she begin to use witchcraft to control and manipulate that man. And so I tell men to have your mental constitution when it comes down to dating modern women in modern times, because falling in love can be very dangerous to a man. Men are very vulnerable when they're in love. It's equivalent to a woman being pregnant by the seed of a man. When men fall in love, they can go into what's called a mental comatose, and it can be extremely dangerous if they don't have safeguards around that. Not against love. I believe in love, but I believe in love within reason, if that makes sense. All right, so I'm going to show you guys something. Maggie, you're going to be you're going to be the person of the hour with Luke Casey. But we're about to go down the rabbit hole. Y'all ready to go down the rabbit hole? Because we're going to go down the rabbit hole. Maggie, you were dropping some gems on these podcasts. And so, are you ready to go down the rabbit hole? Let me know. I ain't gonna scare y'all. Looking scared. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I ain't gonna just say nothing crazy. But we're about to go down the rabbit hole. So she look like, what are you about to do? Hold tight.
Down the rabbit hole we go. This is a place where we explore, analyze, collaborate.
All right, let's go down the rabbit hole, guys. We're going to break down some of your commentary, Maggie, from a lot of the shows I found to be very awe-inspiring. And we're going to dissect, because falling in love is one thing. Getting caught up in the spirit of love is something else. But here's the counterpoint when it comes down to modern women and modern dating. Hold tight.
For me personally, the way that I was raised in a traditional immigrant family, both of my parents have PhDs, but my mom also cooked and took care of the family, and that's the example that I had. So you can be academic and, like me, been corporate since college, but what really changed for me is I did not realize how masculine I had become. And I work with a lot of masculine women in tech, and I did not want to become that. And what it took was having a failed marriage to show me that, you know what, the skills that help you outside in the corporate world can hurt your relationship. So for me, second time around, I got on the program that fast. I have a very masculine man, and what he says is, Maggie, tell the ladies that you're already feminine. You just have to stop fighting it. And we've talked a lot about power, and I believe femininity is our superpower.
All right, I want to talk about something, guys, and you're right, femininity is your superpower. Maggie, you talked succinctly about being the strong, independent woman. And, you know, I always tell women, men want to make love to their women, not war. And I'm going to say something. I'm going to be very careful how I say this, because I'm going to be very, very careful. But many career women, many times, they challenge their men in relationships. And this is by no means justify what Justin Fairfax did. But I was doing some research on Justin Fairfax, and there was a lot of consternation, and what he did was horrible and horrific. But I believe that Justin Fairfax was broken. My heart goes out to the victim. Let me be real clear with that. But when he said that he could no longer work, he could no longer pay the bills anymore, and she decided to divorce him. Now, I don't know all the ins and outs. I believe he became psychotic. I've always said, once again, that a broken man is a hopeless man, and a hopeless man is extremely dangerous. This man became dangerous. Let me tell you guys something that I've heard men tell me in practice. They said that their biggest fear is that they can't provide for their wife, and she's going to divorce him. I see you shaking your head, Luke, and also Maggie. How would you guys respond to that?
Well, I have to agree, unfortunately. I mean, in transparency, I'm not trained as an expert in this area like you are, and I don't really feel like I have a place to speak for men, because I haven't had the male experience, but I can only imagine the pressure. Men's lives are already full of pressures from the outside, but then if you have a woman that is a fair weather friend, she's only there as long as her life is comfortable, that compounds the pressure that the world is already putting on the man. You better not slip. You better not fall. I think we've seen that in some of the clips, unfortunately, even at the altar, when the vows are supposed to be for better or for worse.
Or for worse, right.
Will say either for better and better, or they will omit that part of the vows, which it's not funny. It has to be terrifying. If we have a good man and we've chosen wisely, we have to know that he is doing everything in his power to right whatever is wrong, and to either threaten him, either explicitly or implicitly have him believe that he could lose everything if he doesn't keep this thing going. I think it's tragic, and I'm very saddened by it.
Yeah, I'm saddened by it too, and I was very distraught when I heard it, and that's not to minimize what happened to those ladies. Lou, I saw you shaking your head. I want you to articulate what you were thinking, please.
It is heartbreaking because, unfortunately, if that man would have had that ride or die woman next to him to say, hey, baby, it's okay. You know what? Let's sell the house. Let's see if we can figure it out together. I will get another job while you're trying to do maybe, open up a channel. I will be working out there while you're trying to restart your life over here. That's where our feminine instinct and our, that's the beauty in us, to motivate our guy to keep going. It really doesn't matter. We can sell the house, we can sell the cars, we can live in a box. As long as we're together, that's all that matters. And unfortunately, the modern life has taught women to believe in these transactional relationships that if I'm not getting anything for you, what's in it for me?
Yes, ma'am.
It's not that before, we should believe in being women of service. I am I give service to my man too. If it comes to him not having a job, then I'll go out there and get another job while he is doing his best. Because I know that the man I chose, the good man that I married, I know that he will be going, doing everything and anything to get back to the life we had. So again, it's really, unfortunately, it's tragic. And that is an example of, for us to take a step back and say, what went wrong over here? What really happened?
And what happens a lot of times, Lou and Meg, is that a lot of these boys have never seen masculinity. Some of these men have always lived for the validation of the women in their lives, their mothers, their sisters, and everybody else. They've never lived for themselves. And the thought of their women abandoning them is equivalent to post-traumatic stress, I will argue. Even if it's not 100% full-blown PTSD, it could be other stress-related disorder, some of that ilk, or PTSD unspecified, because it doesn't meet the duration or the criteria. I believe that this man was going through some vestiges of PTSD. I think he was broken. And, of course, the armchair therapist would say this leave. Well, listen, let's say if he did leave. He should have left. He shouldn't have taken that woman's life. My heart goes out to Dr. Serena Fairfax. But let's say if he does leave, when he come back, he's still in the situation because the woman that he was with, she said that she didn't want to be poor anymore. And she was going to take his kids, and he couldn't provide anymore. He was a lawyer. He couldn't earn money for the last couple of years. And when men are in those very precarious circumstances, situations, a lot of times women judge their husbands based on their ability to provide. And so when that man can't provide no more, and that man and that woman's mind, you're not good anymore. I'm gonna go for somebody who's gonna get the bag. And so that man just said, I love that woman, because see, love is a very strange emotion for men. When men love, we love hard. When we love, we're extremely vulnerable, because most men have to be in that masculine logic. It's like when a woman gets impregnated by a man, that's highly illogical to put your body through that kind of pain and risk. But that's what love does to a woman. When a woman is in love with a man, she's willing to put her body through a bunch of pain and risk. But when a man is in love with a woman, he's willing to put his mind and body through the arduous process of being the provider. But once he does that, now he's locked in. But now when that woman decides to leave him, it can be highly chaotic, and we don't give grace, and we don't understand what men are going through in those moments when they are broken. We just assail false idioms and false stereotypes to those men, and those men continue to go into the perpetual cycle of isolation, because once again, a hopeless man is a broken a broken man is a hopeless man, and a man that's hopeless is dangerous. When men are isolated to the people that say leave, that's when he's most dangerous because he doesn't have a cadre of masculine men around him to corral him in his brokenness. Back in the old times when men would go off to war, men would fight and we would have manhood conversation. We had the barbershops, but now men can't even have the barbershops no more because the women in the barbershops, when we go out to war, we go hunting, men would go around the campfire and we would talk, and we would talk about man-ish. But now they don't have the power to do it. And so it never justifies what happened. My heart goes out to that woman. But I think we got to start hearing and understand male mental health, what it means, and give men some grace and give men some dignity. I want to finish playing this real quick. Maggie, with some of these clips that I took a lot of time to create. And guys, look, do me a favor. It took a lot of time to put this stuff together. So please support the channel. Please show some love. Hold on. All right. This is what we talked about earlier, Maggie and Lou. Masculine, feminine in harmony. Stronger together, unstoppable also together. Masculine energy protects, leads, provides, and builds. Feminine energy nurtures, inspires, heals, and elevates. What are some of the things you ladies talk about in the wife school that you and Lou were actually doing together to personify these characteristics in femininity?
Okay, so feminine energy with nurturing, I think we talked a little bit about it, but I would ask ladies to ask yourselves, how do you add value? How do you make things better? How do you give him a soft place to land? Men are not looking for what they already have. So how are you able to take, if it's resources or anything that he's given you, and grow that, whether it's a family, whether it's a home, how do you nurture and support him? With inspiration, we talked about that. I think a lot of women get it wrong with femininity. I often tell students, I want you to do less and be more. And like we said, the modern world has us running around doing everything and nothing at the same time because it's just about productivity. So you can, get the next bag or shoes or car or high rise or whatever. But inspiration to me is really about our presence. And it's not just sitting back and doing nothing, like Lucy said, but having that EQ, that emotional intelligence to see when your man is maybe a little bit more pensive, to offer, what do you need from me? Is there anything I can do? Sometimes it's just being there and sitting next to him and saying nothing. Sometimes it's making his favorite meal. Sometimes it's just encouraging him when he's doubting himself. I think a lot of times women miss that the masculine men that we want are often their biggest critic. Healing, I think, as a mom, as a wife, we kiss the boo-boos. We just heal in a way that, for me, it is not tearing down. So it is the opposite of that. So when you are in interaction with your husband, with your friends, with your family, do you leave people better than you found them?
Right.
Grateful or better off having spent time with you? Or when you leave the room, is it, my God, please make it stop. I thought she would never leave. So again, that takes a certain amount of awareness that a lot of times modern women don't have. And then, the elevating is the men are going to do the work. They're built for it. They have built for it, right? But do we allow him to do the building and not second guess everything, not have to add on or pile on or, have him run things by you? Do you allow him to create something and the both of you will rise together? So just some initial thoughts based on the slide.
Go ahead, Lou. How would you respond to that? How would you respond to it? Go ahead.
I also think it starts with what type of men that you are dating. I mean, if you're dating men that have no character, then you're going to wind up with a chaotic life. You have to do your due diligence on that first, second, and third date. Listen to what he says on those discussions. There are always red flags, and there are green flags where when you're hearing the man, looking, 5 years from now, what he plans to do with his life. And then once you catch or you end up with a good character man, the nurturing, the inspiring, the healing, the elevation comes naturally. You don't have to work hard when you're with a good man. It comes, the masculine man that that will protect you, will lead you, will provide, will build for you, will take all that feminine energy out of you. You don't have to work that hard.
Right. Excellent. Right. There was a song back in the 70s called "When a Man Loves a Woman." I don't know if you guys remember that song, but that's a powerful song. When men love women, we'll go to war for the woman that we love, because we understand that woman belongs to us. She is a personification of us. She helps complement that man. And when men are in love with their women, they'll give the woman the world. But most modern women don't understand that. They want to fight with their men instead of bringing war. They want to have war instead of make love. And then they wonder why they're chronically single. They come in with these stupid expectations. They think the men are supposed to acquiesce to their ludicrous whims. And then when they don't get what they want, they'll say that the man is toxic or the man lacks emotional intelligence. And I will argue that men have a high level of emotional intelligence, because it takes emotional intelligence to swoon a woman. If you're a romantic man, you got to study a woman. You got to study her energy. You got to study how she moves. That's a high IQ man. And so when I hear these women say, "Oh, your men don't have no emotional intelligence," yeah, they got plenty of emotional intelligence. men be emotional intelligence since the '60s, since Sam Cooke, since the Stylistics, Blue Magic, since Troop, since I can't even think of all the singers and the crooners back in the day. Since Keith Sweat, "Make This Last Forever." When men fall in love, they want it to last forever. That feminine oscillator can drive a man crazy, and that's why a lot of times once they fall in love, they almost lose their mind. That's why, like I said, guys, they travel abroad, because see, in America, guys, Lou and Maggie, men don't get that feminine oscillator. They get women like this, these masculine women like what's that woman name? What's that comedian name? She's not that attractive. Can't think of her name. Anyway, I showed you guys. Hold tight.
"Hey, girl, you gonna eat your cornbread?"
Don't say nothing. You talking to me? Yeah, I think you're talking to you.
腰はひねって S 字型。
Yeah, these masculine chicks want to eat men cornbread. They'll tell you I'm gonna eat your cornbread. What is that comedian name? I can't think of her name. Leslie Jones. Yes, ma'am. Oh, she's extremely masculine. And so, when a man see a woman like that, soft and feminine and sweet, oh my goodness, it drives a man crazy. Now, I got another part I want to show you and Lou, because having the vulnerability to say I'm sorry is very powerful. I had a friend of mine, Lou, and Maggie, that said that women haven't apologized since 1990. They haven't apologized since 1980, 89, and 90. We're going to talk about the power of apology and how being apologetic to your man actually have changed to the trajectory of relationship. Let's play this clip, and we're going to talk about this song. I did put it through the copyright press. So I hope they won't give me no press. But no. All right. One of my homeboys said that most modern women, especially black women, haven't apologized since the late 80s and early 90s. They ain't gonna say I'm sorry. And I want to talk about the power of being apologetic and femininity and how that's been restorative on Maggie and Lou from you guys' experiences. So let me make sure I break it up. How have being apologetic been restorative in relationships? I don't want to have a loaded question. All right.
How has being apologetic restored relationships?
Been restorative in relationships. How is saying the simple terms, "Baby, I'm sorry," help restore relationships from your experience?
Well, I think it starts from a place of humility, which a lot of modern women are missing. Again, the way we are groomed, if we agreed that's the word, we have an ego and a pride that is larger than life. It is out of proportion. And
Yes,
so
ma'am,
when
right.
you think I'm a 10, when you think I don't have any areas of improvement, when you think that man is supposed to serve me,
Right.
it's going to be hard for you to say, you know what, I was wrong on that one. But like they say, you know, it's always hardest the first time. I think when you realize that you can make a mistake and it doesn't make you a bad person, if you learn from it and you get better, that's just part of the human experience. I don't know why modern women think we have to be superhuman. You know, men don't expect that of us. And I'll tell you, a masculine man is going to give you feedback. He's going to
give you feedback.
correction.
He gonna give you correction.
Right. The way you handle that can either help your relationship or it can hurt your relationship. So to answer your question, how has it been restorative? I think when a man knows, Lucy said, you know, we need to choose a good one. But when you have a good man and he knows that he has a woman that is receptive to that coaching, that is honest about, you know what, I didn't get that one right. And she's willing, she has that heart of service to want to be better. That's a woman that he can work with. That's a woman that he can build with. That's a woman that he can trust. That's a woman who is worth all of the sacrifices that we've talked about. If you do not have a contrite spirit, if you don't have the type of willingness to say, you know what, maybe I don't know everything, you're just going to be combative with each other and you'll never progress forward because you're just having the same.
Yes, ma'am. And one of the things I've learned in couples therapy is that you got to be willing to compromise. If you're not willing to compromise and have a broken spirit and a contrite heart, you'll never heal your man. Shout out to my man, the Quiet Storm, the Top Gun, for that $5 super chat. He said salute to the guests and the host at the Kosher Clinician. And also shout out to my brother, man, all the way from the West Coast, brother RJ. Brother RJ always showing love. I got nothing but love for him for that $10 super chat. Shout out to brother RJ for that $10 super chat.
It's the money.
All right, the power of being apologetic, Luke Casely, and the restorative power that it has in relationships. I want you to break that down for me.
I think a relationship is based mostly out of trust, from trust. If you can apologize and say, hey, baby, I'm so sorry, I was wrong on this, that builds that trust. Your husband is going to know that if you do something wrong, he's going to know that you're going to come back to him and say, yeah, I was wrong. And that's what gives him, it allows him to give you grace. Again, we women, we are a lot. And our poor husbands, they have to contend with a lot. But you know, the more they learn that we can create this storm and then come back and say, oh, baby, I'm so sorry. I was thinking that we could do this. And now that you thought about it and you give me all of these points, you're right. We can't. We are going to do something else. But it has to do with willing to be, look inside and say, yeah, you know what? I can be wrong. I can be wrong all the time. And that's okay.
Right. And that takes a level of maturity, and that takes a level of self-introspection. One of the things I tell my patients in therapy, I tell them that the process of the therapeutic the essence of the therapeutic process is I reflect, I discover, I recover. If you look at the therapeutic framework through that particular lens, I reflect, I discover things about myself, and I recover, then you're on the road to healing. But if you don't ever reflect, then you can never be on the road to healing. Teddy Pendergrass wrote a song back in the day. He said, you can't hide from yourself. Everywhere you go, there you are. The modern woman can't look in the mirror, because if she look in the mirror and see what's in the mirror, she will crack under pressure. And so when you learn to look at yourself, and listen, I don't know, Maggie and Lou, if it's just a byproduct of age and wisdom. I heard some people say that some women stop developing around 18 to 20. And then as they get older, when the attention stops and the beauty privilege goes away, then they finally start maturing again. I don't know if that's true or not. But what do you guys think about that?
Is the question about arrested development or when women are able
Yes, ma'am. So let me try to reiterate that for you. So there's a premise that women, their development becomes arrested during the most prettiest times in their life. And when that beauty begins to dissipate, that's when they begin to open their eyes up and they start maturing again. It basically means that their beauty keeps them in a state of arrested development because it goes back to pretty privilege. But
Yes.
once the beauty stops, because like I told a woman one time, she got mad at me. And I said, look, man, I don't care if you get mad. But I said, once you get a certain age, you become invisible. And I ain't trying to be mean. She got mad, she blocked me. I don't care if you get mad, but you become invisible. It is what it is. You had your time. And a lot of times men are hardwired, especially men that are silver fox and got money and status. I mean, they hardwired for younger women. I mean, they might say, oh, they just want your money. Well, listen, everyone want men that got money. But if a man got money and status, and I know it's crazy. You look at Bill Belichick, that's an extreme outlier. But Michael Jordan, most powerful rich men, they tend to go after younger women. I'm not saying that women our age or women a few years younger than us are not attractive. I'm not saying that. But the exception, the exclusion does not justify the rule. The exception does not justify the rule. What do you think about that, guys? Go ahead, Maggie. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So, yes, I do agree with you. Beauty can be a curse. That's one of the things that my sponsors used to say. Women who are beautiful almost have to reject their own beauty so that they don't get stuck in that. I think some of it is intentional. Some of it, without sounding like I'm giving anybody a pass, is unintentional, only in the sense that the human characteristic is to continue to do what works. That's just human nature.
That's true. I agree with that.
Like a child, if I tell you that you can't have a toy every time we go to the store, but every time we go to the store, you come back with a toy, you're going to realize, oh, if I throw the tantrum or whatever I do, this is going to work. From my personal experience, I'm what I would consider a late bloomer. I was always the nerdy girl, little chubby, little quirky, still have a lot of those characteristics, but I grew into it. So for me, I didn't have pretty privilege, and I still don't. I think I'm average. But my point is that it forced me to develop a work ethic, and it forced me to add value in other ways, to be helpful, to be agreeable, to be encouraging, and all the other things that I've worked on. I think when women are so beautiful that without even working for it, they are rewarded, it can absolutely stunt their growth.
Right.
And to your point, all of us, we have to add value in any relationship. Take romantic relationships out of it. You can't be an employee that sticks around for a long time if you're not delivering, right? You can't be a good friend if it's only one-sided. There's no area in life where you can just stop adding value and stick around long term. So when benefits stop coming to women as they age, as we all age. Lucy and I are in the second half and happy to be here.
Yes, ma'am.
But the playing field gets leveled for women who were just beautiful, and then they are treading water and fighting for their lives because, like Kevin Samuels used to say, they haven't developed real relationship skills.
Yes, ma'am. Very true.
Communicate. They don't know how to do conflict resolution. They don't know how to compromise. They don't know how to do anything but sit back and just be served. And unfortunately for them, that ship has sailed, and it's too late if they're not able to present themselves in a way that lines up with their age.
Yes, ma'am. Maggie, this is for you. You can read it, please.
Thank you again, Irving, for the €5. He says, a willing ear is so powerful. As Maggie said, humility. Humility is really everything if ladies want a man to take them seriously long term. And thank you again, Irving.
Well, listen, I'm about to brag on Venezuela, man, because Luke Cage is from Nicaragua and Venezuela. And Venezuela got some of the finest women in the world. Some of the finest women come from Venezuela. And Luke Cage is attractive now, but I know Luke Cage was not with pressure in her 20s, man. I know Luke Cage probably had every man throwing flowers at her feet. Look at her be on. I know Luke Cage was not with pressure in her 20s, man. I can only imagine seeing Luke Cage in her 20s, man. Soft and feminine. But were you ever, Lucchese, a victim of being pretty? And did that hurt your relationships in the past? Go ahead.
No, I was married at my early 20s. So again, that was my whole point. Whether, I consider myself better than average or whatever, I never thought about that. I lived my life the way I lived it. And then I met, my husband. I don't know. It's very strange when I see all these women, with a list of different men that they've dated. It's like they've lost the capacity to maintain a relationship.
Right.
And you mentioned, you spoke to a person. You said that the older you become invisible.
You become
and I think that's by design.
Right,
I mean,
right.
at 60,
I like that.
we
Yep,
should
go
be
ahead. Yes, ma'am. Yep.
the only
Right,
visible person that should be to our husbands. Now,
Right.
those women that have not been able to find that husband, of course, are going to think that they have the same look as they're 20 when they're 50. So their mind doesn't match their outside. And that's where it becomes really hard for them to understand that, men are not looking for that. They're looking for maybe that when you were 20 years old or 30, not at 50 with the mentality of a 20-year-old.
Right.
So again, it's
right.
it's really interesting how women get very offended when somebody says you are invisible for the most part. And actually, no, you're not, because when you have that sweetness, when I'm an old lady now. I go in at airports and in the plane, men carry my bag. They want to help me because they
wanna
see,
help you, right.
this short, little old lady trying to put their thing in the airport, and they
Right,
help you. So you
They help
really
you,
don't
right.
become invisible. You become invisible when it comes to like the sexual part, which is,
Right.
at this point, trust me, you're not. So I don't know what in your mind, what you're thinking, that at 60 you still can be sexy. You can be a pretty older lady. Come on. It doesn't,
Right.
it's just a little crazy for me.
No. I think you're right. I think it is by design. Your beauty is what captures the man. What captures the man at the apex of the relationship is your beauty. And as that beauty begins to fade, he doesn't fall necessarily in love with the beauty, but he falls in love with the intrinsic qualities that you bestow on that relationship. So he can still say, I still remember my baby being fine. She was so fine at 20. But you know what? I love her so much that even though she's still pretty, she's still my baby. But she might not be as fine as she was in her 20s, but she's been so kind to me. Her love and her kindness and her generosity and her dedication to me, we sit around the table playing LTD, Love Together and Devotion. That's the parts of her that makes me stay in love with her, because she don't mind getting up in the morning, cooking me a meal, even though I get it, men ain't gonna be asking their wives that every time, but when a woman, let me tell you ladies something, when women just do small things for a man, when you with your woman, she got to go to work. Sometimes that man might test you and say, listen, babe, I know you got to go to work in the morning, but I got a taste for some of that good food that Maggie be cooking, Maggie be burning. He might say, Maggie, I got a taste for some of them croquettes and some of that good cooking. I know you got to go to work, baby, in the morning, but look, do you mind cooking me something? And that man's going to measure how you respond to that. Now, if you say, look, I got to go to work in the morning. You can't believe you asking me to cook you some breakfast in the morning. But if you say, you know what, baby, I'm tired, I got you. That man is going to remember. He's going to remember that. He's going to remember what you did. And he's going to take that small deed and multiply it by 10. But see, these Southern helpers now, they don't understand it. They get mad, poke their mouth out. And, when my wife does a kind deed for me, I remember it. And when I remember it, when we travel, I got you, baby. When they come down to get her a new kitchen, I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to do anything and all things necessary to make her happy, because it doesn't take a lot for us. The great teachers of the Bible said that Jesus said, if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men unto me. When women venerate men in the beauty of power and respect and civility and responsibility, a man has no other choice but to bless her. He has no other choice but to bestow the love and power on that woman when she venerates him, when she shows him love and reverence and respect. That man has no other choice but to bless that woman if he's a masculine man. But these helpers don't get it. They don't get it. They want to fight the men. I ain't your slave. And what I don't understand, Maggie Lou, back in the day, it was normal. If let's say I saw Lou and Maggie back in the day. I'm 6'5", 6'6". Like the young folks say, I'm straight pressure. And I said, look, Lou, I need you. Look, you mind cooking me something to eat? Man, women didn't mind doing it. It was normal for women to cook their man a meal back in the day. They didn't see that as onerous to cook that man a meal, to cook him a nice sandwich or cook him some food. It was just good Southern hospitality. That's how we did in the South. But these women now say if you cook a man a meal, that's wife duty. Okay, well help her, but that's wife duty. Then when we go to Ruth Chris Steakhouse and we go in Dutch. Because that's husband duty. If that tire break down on the side of the road, when that car break down and you have a blowout, that's husband duty because I'm not changing your tire. When you need your car fixed, that's husband duty. You're not my wife yet, so you got to take care of it yourself. What these women forgot to understand is that you have to give something to that man in that relationship. Most women, when the man was in the courting stage, she was actually auditioning to be his wife. But these chicks now don't understand it. They got something called taxation without representation. They want to tax men. They want to charge men the whole tax. That's a term I created, whole tax and wholeflation. And the whole tax is very onerous because what it does, they expect traditional masculine men to bestow upon them as modern women something they've never been taught to give back to that man. Kevin Sanders once said, I've said it myself before in the past, that fair exchange is no robbery. It's you take care of me, I take care of you. The moon reflects the sun. The sun shines brightly because the sun is masculine. It projects light to the moon. And the moon follows the sun and stays on that gravitational axis of the moon. And every time the moon is staying on the axis of the sun, it gets closer to, it stays just, it don't get too close to the masculine, but it stays just enough to reflect the essence of the sun. The woman's job is to reflect her man. And every time she reflects that man by honoring him and respecting him, he said, I ain't got no other choice but to bless him. I ain't got no other choice but to deposit into that woman. Because women by nature are insular. They're very insular. Women are receivers. God made women with organs that receive. God made men with organs that give. And so the more the woman shines on that man, if he's a masculine man, the more that man gonna take care of her. But see, these women now, they want men just to give by default. Because they say, I deserve a good man. No, sweetie, you don't deserve a good man. You don't deserve a good man. Your vagina is in poverty. You got a bad attitude. That vagina singing Negro spirituals. Talking about I'm coming up on the rough side of the mountain. And you expect masculine men that work hard to take care of that impoverished vagina and they treat you special. You're not special, man. You should be grateful if you get a man to pay 50-50. You should be grateful. You should be grateful you get a man to pay 40-60. Charging masculine men the whole tax. You didn't make Day and Raekwon pay the whole tax. So what men are saying, okay, if you're going to charge me the whole tax, I'm going to charge you the lady tax. Because the lady tax means you got to perform. Femininity and masculinity is performative. You both got to perform in order to calibrate one another. But these chicks now don't want to perform. They just think that just by default, I'm supposed to get a man that take care of me. What they don't understand now, with the advent of AI, technology, times are getting scary. See, Luke Cage is going to be fine. Maggie going to be fine. They got men. She got the president. She got her husband. They're going to be fine. They're going to be sitting back, living good, eating steak. Her husband be, Lou husband be eating good. Mag going to be cooking her man some good meals in the kitchen. They're going to be doing good because see, Gen X and boomers, we set for the most part. I mean, my heart goes out to millennials, but I'm going to pay my house off real soon at some point. I'm stacking my money. I've been working hard. So, I got to be ready in case to fight. I might have to be, get ready to fight. Y'all don't let this scare y'all, but this is my blade. Don't let it scare you. But I'm not trying to be mean. Don't let it scare you. But if they come near me, Maggie and Lou, I'm gonna have to lace them up. I'm gonna have to lace them up. I don't bring fire, but if you don't bother me, I won't bother you. But you think you're gonna hurt me, I'm gonna have to take you out. I'm gonna have to take you out if you try to hurt me. And so when women learn the importance of doing for a man and not demanding and expecting things, you got chicks that have given all their virtue away. And they still want a man to be 100%, pay 100% of the bills. But what is that man getting back in return? The social contract years ago said that a woman was supposed to be exclusive to her man only. Not multiple men, not Daquan and Man and Sher Mike and all those men and them. She was supposed to be exclusive to that one man. And in the social contract, the man's job was to love her, protect her, and die for her. I can understand Maggie Lou when it came to the table with a level of humility. I made mistakes. I love how honest you were, Maggie. I made mistakes and Lou as well. But when you're honest and contrite and you're humble, man, so you know what? I give you more of a pass when you're humble. But when you're arrogant and you say, I deserve, and he gonna have to pay all my bills. Okay, man, okay, we're gonna have to do a whole facts. We're gonna have to go in and look at that whole facts and make sure that whole facts has not had a lot of damage. But they don't want to hear that part. And then they get mad because, see, back in the day, I'm gonna tell you what my dad got when he got my mom. My mom passed last year. But my mom was a virgin when she got with my dad. I understand times have changed and people make bad choices. But it's not a point of necessarily being a virgin as much as it is some of these women been with 50 to 100 men. 50 to 100. They've been with a lot of men. They've been with more men than the Lone Ranger have put miles on Silver while he was riding that horse in the Lone Ranger. they put a lot of miles on that cat. And so they were humble and said, you know, I'm a good woman. I made some bad choices, but you know what? I'm humble. Then a man might give her a pass. But these chicks are arrogant. They demand, you know, you're going to have to pay all my bills and take care of my kids. Oh, sweetie, we're not doing that. You just don't qualify. It's okay. Because for the first time, modern women have never heard men tell them they don't qualify. See, they had the power in their 20s, but see, that beauty is faded now, and you never cultivated your femininity, so you don't have nothing to offer a man. So now men are saying, you know, what can you give me outside of old cat? And they get mad. How dare you? Oh, yes, sweetie. How dare you? You know, you got to give me something because I'm gonna charge you the lady tax now because you try to charge me the whole tax. So I got to charge you the lady tax. I got to charge you the lady tax because if you don't have those virtues, then I'm going to charge you that lady tax. Let me read. Y'all please forgive me. I'm a comedian, by the way. Shout out to Suave. I think this is for you, Maggie. Good evening, everyone. Shout out to Suave, showing love for Maggie. And then also shout out to Suave. He said, good evening, Kosher. You have beautiful souls on the panel. Keep up the great, beautiful souls, man. I got nothing but love and respect for Lou and Maggie. Very beautiful souls. Maggie over there just having fun, man. Let me ask you guys a question, Maggie, Lou. I'm going to finish playing this montage because I know y'all, before you guys go, but I know y'all got a few minutes. But what percentage of women, Maggie and Lou, would you guys say are wife ready from your anecdotal? I know it's a small sample, but just from your anecdotal experience in implementing wife school, what percentage would you guys argue is not only wife ready, but also competent enough to be wise? What percentage? And I know it's a small sample size.
Unfortunately, I'm going to be generous and say 20%.
Oh my, that's what I thought. That's what I thought, Maggie. And that's being very generous. I would say less than 10. But what would you say, Lou? What would you say, please?
I agree. I mean, the ones that are ready we know of a few that are in relationships and they are cultivating that, but it's the minority. I would say that it's between 10 and 15. 20 the most, unfortunately.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. And see, that's why I'm glad I got you brilliant women. Because I've said the same thing. People keep talking about, you know, we got to go back and fix the community. You know, we got to fix. What are we going to fix? What are these men getting when they go back? They're going back to chaos. Some of these women have personality disorders. Some of these women have been through so much trauma of being ran through. They're mentally ill. You know, some of these men have been traumatized. By not having fathers. They can have personality disorders as well in the form of NPD. So when they say, well, we gotta go and say, what are we saving? What am I getting if I go back and take one for the team? I'm not getting anything but trauma, headache, and a tired vagina. That's all I'm getting. So why would I go back and take everything that I work hard for? I've worked extremely hard to become the man that I am. 12 years in becoming a clinical therapist, studying hard, harnessing my king-ish, and you think I'm gonna go back and save something that's severely damaged? I work with boys and young boys for almost boys and men. I worked with adjudicated youth for 7 years. I gave to the community. I did 5 years as a teacher. I gave to the community. I did 2 years working in law enforcement as a CO. And let me tell you what the common denominator is. You can teach and groom those boys and teach them virtues, but guess what happens, Meg and Lou? When they go back to the environment, if the environment hasn't changed, the pathology remains. You might find a small smidget that are resilient enough to overcome the caustic environment that they're in, but most don't overcome it. They either continue on a rate of recidivism or they drop out, or they become pathological, but most don't change. So when I hear these, these feel good warriors and these Keystone cops talking about, saving the community, and, say, well, what? It got to die off first. It got to de-evolve in order to re-evolve again. And I'm not against Black excellence in Black communities. I'm not against it. But you guys have tried to teach women the virtues of femininity. You guys have tried to give them examples. The scripture said, let the older women teach the younger women. And older is not an insult to you guys, but let the older women, younger women let the older women teach the younger women. And what it sounds like to me, that the younger women are pushing back on you guys. Is that a fair assessment?
I would say yes, but like Lucy said, we do have some that not only are in relationships. One of the things that was wonderful for me to see when Lucy and I were actively teaching, we had a lot of married women who came to us, like Bria.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So it wasn't just women who wanted to get a man at the witching hour. I was so proud of the women who were already married in their prime and said, you know what, I want to be a better woman to my husband. And we loved pouring into them, and the feedback that they were able to get instantly. We had Maya, we had Alexis, we have, Miley, we have so many young women who were married. Their husbands noticed the change pretty quickly and gave them the feedback, which encouraged them to lean into that femininity because they knew they had the covering. So we have also seen, unfortunately, some chronically single women who, instead of realizing, okay, I'm the common denominator here, why is it that I have gotten to this age and I'm still single? They're doubling down, and their expectations are getting even higher, or their timeline.
Right. Yeah, they're doubling down. They're digging their feet in, Maggie. They're like your Yosemite Sam with a gun. Look, y'all gonna laugh at this, Maggie and Lou. I heard somebody tell me, they said that the model woman will rather rule in hell than to be submissive in heaven. And I believe that. She will rather rule in hell than to be submissive in heaven. And I believe that. Because men create heaven. Men create a synthetic heaven on earth. They create heaven. That they create heaven for their woman. Because when a man loves a woman, we don't want to get shot, but we'll die for our woman. If I love my woman, she's a good woman, and she takes good care of me. She massages my temples. She's sweet. She's soft. She in that kitchen whipping up something good. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna take good care of her. I gotta take good care of her because she's giving me the energy to be motivated. She's making sure I got my protein. She's making sure my muscles are strong. She's making sure I get at least 140 grams of protein. If I don't get them plant protein, I'm gonna take good care of that woman. She's gonna be well taken care of. She's gonna be well off. But nowadays, Lou and Maggie, a lot of women don't have enough money to retire. Some men don't either. And you got a lot of women out here by themselves, singing that song by Patti LaBelle, On My Own. And you said it powerfully. You don't want to spend the last half of your life single. You don't want to spend the last half of your life single, especially being an older woman. It's bad enough being a man homeless. But can you imagine a woman in a car? These women are sleeping in cars. They're intense. They live out there in LA. They up there with rats and roaches. The rats are about big as me. They struggling. And can you imagine? You trying to protect yourself, and rats sitting on your lap, sitting on your bed, smoking blunts. Talking about what's up, feces and urine all everywhere. You're in an unclean environment. And guess what that stress does? It's a concept called weathering. Men go to a concept called weathering. When men are stressed out, when men don't get honor and respect, it weathers them. What it basically means is that it ages them prematurely. A woman's voice can either be a stressor or can be an elixir. The vibrations from your voice, Maggie, can either heal your husband, or the vibrations for your husband from your voice, Maggie, can either damn your husband or your boyfriend. Same for you, Luke Hazley. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. So when you're around a woman that's contentious, she's always arguing, because the book said that a wise woman builds her house, but a foolish woman tears it down. She's always arguing. She's mad. You got men sitting in the car. They don't want to come in, man, because they're stressed out. They already work 12 hours, a 12-hour shift, and they come inside the house, and she arguing and nagging and stressing him out. So what man want to come home to that? Don't you know that you're slowly killing that man when you stress him out versus being soft and versus touching his temple and kissing him on the forehead. Sometimes that's all it takes. Baby, was your day okay? And you just go kiss him on the forehead and rub his head. You know, if you got a bald head like mine, you put some coconut, put some shea butter on it and rub it so it can shine. Rub it so it can shine, Maggie Lou. And look, that's all I need. You know, she put some shea butter on my head and she rubbed it for me, massaged my temples. Now I'm motivated again. I'm rejuvenated to get back up. And like the old folks say, run on and see what the end gonna be. I'm motivated to go run on there and see what the end gonna be. And the fact that you guys said that only a small percentage, that's problematic because you guys are very feminine women. What is the biggest pushback, starting with you, Maggie, that you've seen? I don't know if you can make it prescriptive, but what is the biggest pushback that you've seen when you try to educate women about the art of being feminine and responding to men in a kind way?
The biggest pushback, and I'll say this because I do have a hard stop at 9.
Yes, ma'am, no problem. Right.
My man told me that most women have a story running in their head. It's almost like they have already prescribed out the perfect man, the perfect relationship, the perfect everything, this house, this car, this dress, and we are our own worst enemy because anything that is different from what we have thought about ourselves, it's got to be wrong. No, this wasn't on my vision board, my bingo card. I didn't manifest this. And we look at, a simple change or, you know what, he's not my type, whatever that means, but I really think I could have a life with him. We are so stuck on what we think is supposed to happen. We miss the forest for the trees. I would say that's one. And then 2, similar, but not the same. We really believe just showing up is enough because I woke up like this, or I'm a 10, or any of that version of can't nobody tell me anything. If there's no room for opportunity, then whatever feedback you're going to do, it's just, you're going to get, it's going to go in one ear and out the other because everybody else is the problem, not you.
Yes, that's powerful. What would you say, Lou? Go ahead.
For me, I don't do any counseling. I don't do any of that stuff, but I do see it in my nieces. And I think it's the group of people, the group of young women that they are friends with, the friends and of indoctrination that they've been taught in schools, in the media and environment. That's what has told my younger nieces that they don't need a man. They can do it all by themselves. They need that career. They need to go out there and do it on themselves. And they think that, Auntie Lucy, their mom, my other sisters, it's the way that we live is old school, too old school for them. They need to be living the modern way. And for me, I've told my sisters, I'm not going to correct my nieces anymore. They're going to have to learn life on their own.
They're going to have to learn on their own.
They're going to learn the hard way.
They're going to have to learn the hard way. Some learn through reason and some learn through hardship. Hold tight. I know you got a hard stop, Maggie, in a few minutes. Whenever you got to leave, you can just hop
Florida
off.
politics is dead, and her husband charged with her murder.
Can y'all see it? Hold on.
Was arrested Wednesday after police say they found the body of his wife, Nancy, at their home. Nancy Bowen was the vice mayor of Coral Springs, Florida.
All right, hold on.
After she missed city meetings, officers went to her home for a wellness check, according to the affidavit. Mayor of Coral Springs, Florida. After she missed city meetings, officers went to her home for a wellness check, according to the affidavit, which says her body was found wrapped in blankets along with 3 spent shotgun shells. That same day, Stephen Bowen knocked on an unidentified person's door, according to the affidavit, and asked that person to hold on to a shotgun for him. He then admitted that he shot his wife 3 times with a shotgun the previous night and then slept downstairs. Nearby, a pillow with burn marks fashioned as a makeshift silencer. Asked why, Stephen Bowen said that he couldn't take it anymore.
Let me ask you guys a question. And Meg, I know you got to go in a minute, so I want to start with you. And Lou, whenever you need to drop off, you can. I'm gonna drive this plane by myself. Let me reiterate: we do not condone violence of any sort on this channel. My heart goes out to the women, but it goes back, Maggie, when you talked about parenthetically used to be masculine, and can you identify, Maggie, there were times where you shut your husband down by being masculine or challenge him in the home? and what they did to him psychologically. Can you identify with any of those times?
Yes, and I am not proud of this, but
Mhm.
if it's helpful for me to be completely honest, I would make decisions without consulting him.
Oh, wow. Are you serious? Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
I would think that if it made sense to me, it made sense for we, and then he would hear about it after the fact. And I now know that is not, it's disrespectful. Um, like I said, I'm not proud of it. I would never do that again. And, not trying to defend myself in any way, but I don't believe there was any malice in it. I think it was just moving fast and thinking, oh, yeah, it's not a big deal. But as
Yes,
women,
ma'am.
we
Right.
really realize that, our men are not our accessory.
Right.
They are, full functioning humans and men that we should respect, especially
Right.
if it offers you marriage. And so
Right.
I do
Right.
get that.
When you hear that woman, that man said, I couldn't take it no more. That was a man in distress. Once again, doesn't justify what happened. But I will argue, and I don't know 100% Maggie and Lou, but I will argue when you got a woman that's a high earner, she's high in society. A lot of times women that are big earners, make money, leadership positions, they emasculate the men in the relationship. I think it happens a lot. And like I said, don't justify what he did because he was wrong. But Lou, how would you respond to that? And Maggie, I know you got to go, dear. If you want to add any comments before you leave, and then Lou got to go as well. But how would you respond to that real quick?
Me or Maggie?
It doesn't matter. How would you respond to when the man said, I couldn't take it anymore? What are you hearing? Tell me what you heard from that man. Because I don't think men become homicidal. I think it becomes a process. But hearing him
Yeah,
saying that, yeah, yes, ma'am, go ahead. Mhm.
it's been constant nagging over and over, and she wouldn't stop and she wouldn't stop. And at the time that he said, I don't want to hear it, she would continue. I can tell you that I had a coworker on a previous job where they were having an argument. It was her and a male coworker. The guy said, I'm going to walk away because this discussion cannot happen. And she followed him
She
to
followed him.
continue to
Mhm.
harp on him. And then, I stayed back because there was going to be a point where the guy was going to snap, and I didn't want to be part of this. So again, it's some women do not understand that when a man says, I need a break, they need a break. And that's where that emotional intelligence comes in.
Mhm.
And you say, you know what, babe? Yes, maybe we need a break on this, and we'll take it another time, if at all. So this was it looks like it was a very unhealthy relationship. And unfortunately, again, it ends up in tragedy.
Yes, it ended up in tragedy, and the powers that be made it seem like this man that was a bad person. But before you guys go under 1 minute, starting with Meg, what you get out of this conversation? 1 minute. I know you got a hard stop, and then we'll go to Lou, and then I'm gonna finish it. Go ahead. 1 minute. Under 1 minute.
Oh, I just want to say thank you, Kosher Clinician, for having
Thank
me
you.
on. Lucy, as always, so happy to be here with you. And I just hope that what I've shared has been helpful. I will say this. I know when we look at the community at large, it can be very discerning, but I think we win this fight one husband and wife at a time, one couple at a time, one marriage at a time. And like Lucy and I started off being the drop in the bucket with the ladies, it will turn into a ripple. With respect, I understand that's your profession, but when we do find a young man or a young woman that is interested in marriage and they can block all of this out and focus on their family, that is what we pour into, and the results will come. But I appreciate being part of the conversation.
Look, listen. Thank you, dear. It was powerful. We got to do this again. Thank you, Lou. I mean, Mag. I appreciate it. Enjoy your night, Lou. Under 1
Bye,
minute.
Maggie.
Under 1 minute, Lou. Go ahead.
Yes, as Maggie says, it's gotta start in the home. And what I'm thinking is that if you are surrounded by like-minded husbands and wives, you keep that group of people. If you see husband and wife that are dysfunctional that will impact your life, you separate yourself from that. You don't have to be friends with everybody. You can be selective about the company you keep. So again, unfortunately, like I said before, it's going to take maybe time for people to divide and conquer. The functional people to be in one side, the dysfunctionals to be left to deal on their own. But unfortunately, that's probably how it's going to work out.
No, you gotta let them go, man. But anyway, listen, thank you, Lou. Always a pleasure. We did this 4 years ago. I can't believe it's been 4 years since we did that show. But always grateful. You're so kind and sweet, and I really appreciate your insight, your wisdom, your kindness, and your desire for love together and devotion. So thank you, and tell your husband I appreciate him allowing me to have this conversation. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Kosher. See you all.
All right, dear. All right, take care.
Bye.
All right, guys. So we're gonna finish this conversation. Shout out to Luke Hazley and shout out to the ladies that came through. And so let's look at therapist reacts when a soft answer turns away rare. Most men, guys, are conditioned to see things through the lens of their mothers. Most men are conditioned to see things through the lens of their mother. Black men are always in a bubble. From inception, we've been conditioned to say sugar and spice, everything nice. And we tend to over-identify with the talking points of our mothers or women in general. And that's not consistent with true masculinity. While we should love our moms and we should love our sisters, we should never love our moms and sisters outside of our masculine identity. And so a lot of times men tend to overcompensate because they think about mom dreams and rules. When you think about some of these young boys in the NFL, I get that some of these boys came up in families where the fathers abandoned them. I get that in part, but that's not always the story. And so they'll say that I got to buy my mom a house. He puts his life on the line for the sake of appeasing his mom. And that necessarily should never happen. That's that boy's father's responsibility to do that. But a condition happens, guys, many times in these relationships. It's called adultification. Adultification happens when a child is placed in a very precarious circumstance many times to play the role of an adult. And that adultification sometimes can lead to something called spousification. They call it partnerification now, which I don't like that word. And also it can be also parentification. Parentification where that boy is expected to be a parent. And many times the spousification can lead to a man being a son husband. A lot of men are actually in the role of son husbands. I don't know if you guys seen the show with Allen Iverson on Netflix. Not Netflix, but Prime. But many boys have been adultified to the point they're son husbands. The reason why we got so many simps in our society because a lot of men tend to over-identify. And it's not their fault. They've just been conditioned to do that. They over-identify with the talking points of women. And so when you put your masculine virtues, when you put all your hopes and your dreams aside for the sake of garnering the validation of your mother at the expense of your masculinity, that's not a healthy man. A true, healthy, functional man will love his mom. But a true, healthy, functional man also will respectfully check his mom if he need to. He'll respectfully check his aunt and respectfully check his sister. Because you don't never compromise your masculinity for the sake of going along to get along. I didn't say disrespect, mom. But when mom is getting out of line, you got to say, mom, respectfully, mom. You're doing too much, mom. But so many men put their lives on hold for the sake of their mother. So many black men are born already disadvantaged. They're born in a black man bubble, black men in a bubble. That's called the gynocratic bubble. They cannot think outside of the affirmations and the validations of the women in their life. And when it does, it sabotages them. And that same pathological thinking tends to coincide many times in the home and also in relationship. That's why a lot of men don't stand in power now. You know, I like what Maggie said. Maggie was correct. The world won't change until the men change. But the men won't change until the men do the necessary work through therapy and through thought modification to change and or eradicate a lot of the thinking that they've more or less had in their head over a span of time. And so when men do that, they're protecting her from her reality. Her voice, his voice is their voice. And so a lot of times men, they struggle with emotional shame and guilt because they're trying to placate to the whims of their mothers. And that's pathological thinking. Masculine men should love the women in their lives, but masculine men should not do things for the sake of affirming their moms. And I'm gonna say something, guys, that's also controversial. You can't protect your woman if you allow her emotions to control you. I'm gonna say it again. You can't protect your woman if her emotions are controlling you. Many men allow the women in their lives emotions to control them, but you don't protect your woman by allowing an emotionally volatile woman to control you. You protect your woman by setting standards and boundaries. And if she get outside those standards and boundaries, then you have to check that bad behavior. And most men are afraid to do it because they've been conditioned to see things through the lens of their mothers and also through the validation of the women in their lives. And so introjection equals gynocracy. The man's ego is fortified based on the validation of his mother. That's how he gets his validation. He gets his validation through his mother. And there's nothing wrong with getting validation through his mother. Nothing wrong with that, because moms should give their sons healthy validation. But it becomes pathological when men cannot make decisions outside of the fear of making mama mad. It's one thing if you're doing something bad, that's different. But every decision you make, you got to get mom's approval, or you're afraid that mama gonna get mad, and you feel like you gotta be the husband in the relationship. Mom got with a dusty man, and sometimes mom kicked daddy out of the house. We know that sometimes it's not always the woman's fault. Some of these men lied to women and they manipulated those women. But mom sometimes got with the man she thought was cute. She had a child with him, and after she had a child with him, you became the son husband. And I call it introjection in a bubble. It's an ego defense mechanism called introjection. The man became introjected. An introjected male is predicated in what's called gynocratic thought. That's why you get some of these steps and some of these slow steps. Damn, telling me and talking about come back to a community, and I'm not coming back to no community that doesn't validate me and respect me. My time and my energy, my talents cost a lot of money, and you ain't gonna get it for free. Because let me tell you, men, something. If you don't validate or value what you have, the world won't value it. But some of these hotep simps and some of these introjected, defeated men will tell you that you got to go back and save something that's never been conditioned to serve you. It's one thing if you get a community that's been conditioned to serve you and you both serve one another. You both are serving one another, but they want you to serve by default and don't ask no questions while you weather yourself into an early grave. And I've seen that happen so many times. I got male clients that have had strokes because they weathered themselves, because they were trying to get the validation of the woman in their lives. And that woman was not in synchronicity with that man to affirm him, to inspire him, to speak life into him, the virtues of what a kind woman does. And so it goes back to what Luke Hazley said. Stop getting caught up, guys, talking about some of these women are your women. If that woman does not understand her assignment, she does not honor you and value you and respect you as a man, she's not your woman. And as men, you have the right to date whoever you want to date. You get with the best woman that's going to follow your leadership and follow your program. And when she does that, you take good care of that woman. You love that woman. You guide that woman, and be willing to die for that woman if you have to. But not at the expense for free. And that's what men have been doing for years. Many men have been introjected, which is an ego defense mechanism, and they see it through the lens of women. And that's why so many men are compromising relationships, because they don't know how to stand on power. They have been psychologically manipulated, consciously or unconsciously, at the behest of affirming women.
Modern woman is any woman who lives in modern times, but it's given us a false sense of who we are and our role in society and in the family and in the home. Now, I'm not saying we need to go back to doing things by hand. I grew up in a very traditional nuclear family, but when you think about it, men and women and humans haven't changed that much in hundreds and thousands of years. So the perception that, I don't need a man, I think it's really short-sighted, especially over the long terms. And so that just means we have to choose to be traditional, because the environment is kind of pushing us towards, modern times. Those old things don't matter anymore. I think modern women.
And you're right inside Bria's kitchen. You're 100% correct. The son husband syndrome is cringy. And see, Bria, what most don't understand inside Bria's kitchen, what most don't understand, that's why when I go on some panels, I don't like talking to pseudo intellectuals or people don't have my professional training and background because they don't know what they're talking about. I like talking to cogent intellectual men, brothers that can think and that ask clear questions, not, guys going on monkey rants, screaming and hollering. I like talking to intellectual men. They're going to be fair and responsive, but they don't understand system dynamics. They don't understand systems. They don't understand how many times there are many causative factors that shape how boys respond. And sometimes that conditioning cannot be broken overnight. It takes years of reprogramming to break that nebulous and that negative conditioning. And you're right, the son husband syndrome is cringy, especially on social media. These ladies allow their sons to compliment them in what I deem inappropriate manner is awful. And you're right. And it's not just in that manner inside Bria's kitchen, but it's also in performative masculinity where the man is expected to perform and to provide for his mom. Boys were not supposed to be put on this planet to perform for his mom. Now, she's a good woman and daddy died and, she had uncles in his life and they supported him and her, then that's different. But I'm talking about these entitled moms that just think by default when that boy go to the league, he's supposed to buy her a house and buy everybody a house. That puts a lot of pressure on that man. And by the time that man reaches a certain age, all that money that he could have been placed in investments, it was given to the women in his family. And he suffered from it because of it.
And have bought into the lie, and I say this as a reformed modern woman. We could have it all and have it all at the same time. And the bottom line is you just have to choose. I know that leading with my accomplishments and leading with my career and all of those things, and then trying to be married and trying to raise children, you're going to crumble underneath the pressure. And as I get older, I'll be 50, next year. I just don't see a lot of older women still running just as hard as we were when we were in our 20s. So I learned the hard way. We're going to naturally slow down. So if relationships are important to you, I think that we should prioritize that while we can, because it's going to be a lot harder as we age.
I love that answer.
All right. So what you guys have now, and I'm gonna break because it took me a lot of time to put this thing together. And guys, do me a favor, share the stream and also donate to your channel.
Prioritize that while we can, because it's going to be a lot harder as we age.
Love that answer.
All right. So what you guys have now is defective women and compromised men. That was a revelation that I got when I was putting this thing together. I had to pat myself on the back because I said, man, that's good stuff. I had to compliment myself. I know that sounds self-serving, but you have a generation of compromised, defective women and compromised men. How many of you men agree with that premise, that we have a generation of selfish women, defective women, and compromised men? If you believe that, I want you to press 1. If we have a generation of defective women and also compromised men, because I believe that's the case. I do believe that's the case, that we have a generation of defective women and also compromised men. And I'm going to tell you why I believe that. Frederick Douglass once said, guys, it's easier to repair damage. It's easier to repair damaged kids than it is to repair broken men. And we could take that same adage and add it to women as well, because women are part of mankind. But we got a generation, guys, of defective women. They're selfish. They're highly manipulative. They're entitled. They lack empathy. And they're always the victim. If you believe that, I want you to hit 1, because I see it all the time. But this is the zeitgeist, guys, the spirit of the age that we're living in. This is the zeitgeist, guys, that we are living in. Selfish, manipulative, lack empathy, and always the victim. And see, these broken dynamics destroys future wealth building, families, and relationships. Men are supposed to lead. It ain't gonna be no partnership. It ain't gonna be no partner. Now they went in the DSM-5, they used to say spousification. And that's why I know it was a modern term that was intentional based on egalitarianism. They went from spousification to partnerification. And that partner mess means that men are equal to women in the leadership role. And that's why I tell you men that are traditional, you can't marry the average woman. Don't even waste your time. When these hotel simps tell you talking about a community and coming back, you can't say defective women. These women are defective because they meet all the criteria that I'm talking about. It's not all of them, but it's most of them. If you don't believe what I'm saying, like Luke Cage is saying, what Maggie said, when it comes down to trying to corral these women, she says it's only a small percentage. But people get mad at me. Oh, you always talking about black women. No, we talking about defective behavior. My daughters are not that way. I know some sisters, there's some good women that are not that way. But that's the exception. That's not the rule. And you got a generation of compromised men. They're compromised. Like Frederick Douglass once said again, it's easier to repair damaged kids in the air, broken kids than it is to repair. It's easier to repair damaged kids than it is to repair broken men. Defective women and compromised men does not lead to wealth building in relationships because the powers that be do not systematically understand system theories. Compromised men equals weak. They're simps. Many of them are unconscious simps. It stands for supplementing irrational male patterns of behavior because they're not men, they're males. They have no standards. Like most black men in the community, they have no standards. They take the worst of women, overweight, bad attitude, kids by other men. A lot of them ran through, liberally indoctrinated, don't know how to speak life into the children, always challenging the male's leadership. Don't add anything of virtue to the relationship. And then you got what's called the conscious simp. The conscious simp is another acronym I created, and it stands for sacrificing important masculine principles. Masculine principles are direct. True masculinity says what it means what it says. That's true masculinity. True masculinity does not compromise in what it stands for. True masculinity is direct and to the point. And either you're going to conform, or you're going to get left behind. So compromised men are weak. They have no standards. They're people pleasing, and they are emotionally drained. These men come from broken systems, and they also have what's called destroyed futures, because these men were not corralled under masculine virtues that are synonymous to healthy masculinity, or what I call heteronormative masculinity. Because watch this, guys, masculinity is under attack.
And the first prompt is, women have more privileges today than men.
Our laws are written by men. Our courts are ruled by men. So if you have some concern about...
And see, guys, this is some of the dangers of feminism. The chick that got on the big vampire teeth with vampire teeth collar from the 70s. They always said that, our lives are ruled by men, or whatever. No, ma'am. No, it's not ruled by men. It's ruled by a few men. Black men en masse never had the power to create policies to oppress nobody. Black men were called boys in pre-antebellum and post-antebellum slavery. But somehow black women got involved in white liberal women's nonsense, and they made that our problem. Black men didn't create no policies to oppress black women. Black men didn't create policies to oppress nobody. Black men were fighting for their own survival, just like black women were fighting for their own survival. But these white liberal feminists they lied to black women, and they said that men, which is a lie, create the rules. What men, ma'am? You got to be specific. Are you talking about oligarchs, which is a few, or are you talking about every man create policies and rules? Because if that's the case, men don't create war. Only a few men create war, and the few men that never had anything to do with it, they become casualties of war. But see, this over and gross generalization is what a lot of black women do when it comes down to relationships. They overgeneralize all black men. They overgeneralize all men for the misgivings of the men that hurt them or traumatized them. And so this chick with the vampire collars on, looking like Count Dracula, black women fell into this nonsense. They fed into this dumb nonsense, the issues the white women had. And then once the white liberal got to the mountaintop, she's still on the back of the black woman to push her own agenda and left the black woman broken and down, and also the black family destroyed and broken. But then you still got these women talking about feminism, which feminism never had anything to do with black women. because black men never had the power to oppress nobody. Black men never had a patriarchy. I'm talking about a true patriarchy, because a true patriarchy can never be manifest unless it starts at the policy level. That's called legislation. But you can't tell these women that, you know, they're always talking, oh, it's a patriarchy, the patriarchy. But the patriarchy gave you the privilege to oppress and the power to oppress men. It oppressed innocent bystanders that had nothing to do with the nonsense these white women had against towards their husbands.
What a court presumes, well, that's a conversation to have with men too. They're the ones who wrote the laws.
You see how stupid that sounds? Men wrote the laws instead of saying that select men wrote the law. Select white men wrote the law. But black men get thrown into the nonsense. Black men had nothing to do with it. Black men had nothing to do with it. But somehow black men gets thrown into the fray. And this is another part of the black introjection equals gynocracy, protecting him from reality, preparing him for weakness. Because these boys, when they are correlated and corralled by their moms, they become weak men. His thoughts, their voices, his identity. That's introjection. Introjection equals gynocratic thought. That's why so many men are compromised, because they think like mama. They think like how mama would expect them to think, which is unvetted and unmerited servitude.
It is women that actually disrupt the family, and then they get upset with the results of a disrupted family.
No career will give women as much joy and fulfillment as raising children.
As a woman with lived experience, I promise you, having a son that is a Marine, working with my ex-husband to raise 2 boys that we are very proud of, nothing will give you that fulfillment than being a mother.
If the man thinks it's better for him to be out 60% of the time and she's home for the rest of the time, that's fine if they want to make that choice. The problem is you're prescribing it to men, and I'm not going to do that. You're prescribing it to women.
The sexual revolution has devalued women and made them infinitely less happy.
Yeah, the sexual revolution did. It didn't empower women, it depowered women. Women were empowered to be depowered. And once these women have had copious amounts of fun, guys, you're not going to be her the guy that she selects. And so she's going to charge you the whole tax. And when she charges you the whole tax, you got to charge her the lady tax. You got to do a thorough assessment of that woman and say, ma'am, I got to study your background because, you're judging me based on my future earnings. And I'm going to judge you based on your whorish past. And so I'm going to charge you a whole tax. I mean the lady tax, because you charging me the whole tax because you expect a traditional man to pay all your bills and to treat you special, something you don't deserve. So therefore, I'm going to have to charge you the lady tax. I'm going to have to get the lady tax. I'm going to have to do a thorough assessment and count all them bodies that you had, all them deletions that you had, and see if you qualify to be my woman. And if you don't qualify, that's why men got to raise the standard, and I'm going to cash you to the wind. I'm not getting caught up in this gynocratic thought about coming back to communities being projects, and I'm not doing that goofy mess. I'm an elite black man. I bow to no man. I don't see no man as greater than me. I can respect you as a man, but I can debate with the best of them. I can destroy the best of them. I'm 6'5", 6'6", 6'6" with shoes on. Shout out to my man Quiet Storm. And I can respect you as a man, but I don't tap dance to no man. I don't see some of these goofy clowns on YouTube, a lot of them fake, as somebody that I look up to. I don't endorse some of these goofy guys, man. They're not me. I'm elite. And so I don't get caught up in dealing with some of these dusty Negroes. I respect men that respect me. If you think I'm a damn tap dancer, I don't tap dance for nobody. If you get in my face, you might get your jaw broke. Some of these fools don't understand. They don't understand, know how to separate. There's a difference between my profession and me being a man. I'm a man first. If your mouth gets slick, I don't care if you're a man or woman, you can get this work. If you get in my face, you might get your jaw broke. And I don't like to talk violence, but some of these keyboard warriors on YouTube think they can talk trash to you, supposed to tap dance or hear an educated lane. I'll show you how much of an educated lane I am if you get in my face. And you challenge me. I will crack your neck. I'll make you scream like a pig that's in a pen. Some of these fools think just because you educated, you a sucker. And you're not going to talk to me any kind of way. You'll get your jaw broke. Got me all the way confused. But some of these dusty Negroes think you're supposed to come back and tap dance, these slow taps, and I'm going to serve the community, and I'm going to come and deal with obtuse women that haven't been conditioned or trained to honor and respect men. Do it all in the name of community. But talking about what you're going to do, you'll get your jaw broke if you get in my face. And try me. Don't let this bow tie fool you. Don't let the swag fool you, because I'm a man first. Don't damn let it fool you. don't let it fool you, because you can get this work. You can get it. I had cats try me in prison, and they got this work. Some of these young bucks. I might not be as strong as I was in my 20s, but I'm a warrior. Don't get in my face. Please don't get in my face and try me. I promise you I'll smash you through the glass if you get in my face and try me. Don't ever let my credentials fool you. I'm a man first.
Talk about pressure. I feel like feminism was good for men because it kind of relieved them of a little bit of pressure.
It lifted everybody up.
Well, yeah, but really
it's made men.
Well, no, feminism relieved men of pressure that could get the women. Now, it did help men not have to commit to marriage. That's true. But every man ain't getting women like that. Every man ain't getting women like that. Some men are, but every man is not. So yes, it did relieve men of pressure, but it didn't relieve all men of pressure, because the men that can't get women, they're getting leftovers. And when those men get leftover women, those women are not happy. There was a story recently where women said, these women said that the average man just don't qualify. Well, I said, ma'am, you don't qualify. You don't qualify for the average man. But that's what happens. Feminism did make it easier, but it didn't make it easier for every man that can't get the women. The top 10, 20% of women made it easier for them. But the average man that want a wife, he getting nothing but leftover women. He getting leftover women that's been ran through. That's what he's getting. He ain't getting nothing wholesome. He ain't getting nothing wholesome. This woman's been taken to the woodshed. She's been like a John Deere tractor in the South, being plowed through hard. But you think somebody can put a ring on your finger and make you feel special. I want an honest man. I've had all my fun in my 20s. Now I want an honest man that's going to love me and put a ring on my finger and make me feel special. Man, you need to go run on somewhere. Ain't nobody trying to hear that nonsense.
And so much more depressed than ever. It's made them weaker.
Why are y'all so obsessed with trying to be men? Like, why can't you just be good women and enjoy the roles that we're supposed to play, which is mother?
Only women should make laws about women's bodies.
The reason I'm saying women should have more of a say on our bodies than men is just, if we look at history, men have had the only say on our bodies.
And if we're talking about equality, why do he have to pay for your body choice?
Well, his body choice was ejaculation. So
Okay,
we each had a body
but
choice.
you opened your
Again.
legs. That was your body choice. You said yes.
White women.
Right. So it goes back to what I said earlier. This is what men are dealing with. Men that are mentally imprinted. You're dealing with the kind of women that you men are dealing with now. If you get with these kind of women, you can be mentally imprinted, because 9 times out of 10, she's going to get bored and she's going to leave you at some point. If you're not the man that she chose and you're just somebody that she tolerated, she's going to mentally imprint you at some point, and she's going to leave you at some point if you lose your job or you can't perform sexually in the bedroom, or she'll tolerate you or cheat on you behind the scene. That's why men should never get with ran through women, because ran through women have a hard time being satisfied. Some of them can do it, but a lot of them can't. Some of them, there are exceptions, but but mentally imprinted men, she left, he's broke, and falling in love changed him forever. That's why I tell men never fall in love. You're telegraphing your own doom. You love your woman, you love her within reason, but you never fall in love. Love within reason, but never fall in love. And this is what I mean by, guys, you got to start charging women the lady tax. She's charging you the hoe tax. She is charging you guys the hoe tax. That's a term I created. If you hear anybody using that term, they stole it from me, and I'm going to say something when they use it. But it's the hoe tax. And the hoe tax says that, why aren't you spoiling me? I deserve everything. You ever hear these women, guys, that got 3 and 4 kids by different men? Alice Shape ran through. But they said, I deserve. They don't say I desire, good man. I deserve. Your time is mine. Commit or somebody else will. These chicks will tell you that they know their worth. She'll say, I know what my worth is. Yeah, I know your Walmart know your worth too, man. Walmart knows your worth. I know my worth. Never enough, always demanding. So the whole tax still is not enough. She wants more, but no matter what he does, it's never enough. So the modern women charge a whole tax. And ladies, you got to counter that. You good men that made good choices, you have to counter that with the lady tax. You got to put a tariff on the whole tax. You got to put tariffs on them taxes. And you got to counter that with the lady tax. What is the lady tax? He made good choices, no hoes, no baby mama drama, focus, discipline, building his legacy, and being financially free. This is a top tier man. This is an elite man. And so you got to charge her with the lady tax. Because when she come around with that tired vagina singing Negro spirituals, you got to charge her with the lady tax. You got to charge her with the lady tax, because she's going to hit you with the whole tax. She's judging your future. She's judging your future just like you got to judge her past.
Benefit the most from the feminist movement.
The prompt is white women benefit more.
Yeah, they do.
We agree.
Yes, they fucking do. But white women always come up before everyone else most of the time anyway. That's just the thing. It's still, sorry to bring up race, but like white people in general. So if we're going to talk about women, yeah, did it benefit white women more? Of course it did.
I think we bring up our community by turning towards each other instead of against each other. I'm not going to deny the fact that women can work, we can vote, we can own, we can do all those things. But I think it is foolish to only look at that and not look at the harm that feminism has caused.
There is no shame in having a high body count.
Women with higher body counts get divorced at a far higher rate. And it's harder for them to pair bond with their husbands because they've had so many past partners.
So pair bonding.
Every person is having sex. That's just the reality of it. Some people want to have sex less than others. Some people want to have sex more than others. And none of that is about who they are morally as a person.
Straight black men are the cancer of the black community.
Now, guys, shout out to my man, Dr. A. I just saw him. Shout out to Dr. A. Shout out to that brother. But yeah. She's charging you the whole tax, and you got to charge her the lady tax. You got to start making more demands on these women, man. Everything is going up with black men standards, and you got to start charging her the lady tax, because she's going to charge you the whole tax. And the whole tax is a woman that's been extremely promiscuous, ran through. She want to come back in her latter parts of her years expecting to be treated special like women that made good choices. Men should celebrate women that made good choices. I'm not saying the woman that made bad choices can't change, but once you've done the dirt, you can't unchange it. The world don't care about men that made bad choices in their 20s. If a man say, I did all of this for the love and devotion of that woman, he sold drugs and he got incarcerated, the world ain't gonna give that man a pass. And so these women don't get a pass. So just like she charging you a whole tax, you got to charge her that lady tax. You got to charge her. Sorry, ma'am, you got to charge her the lady tax. I got to do a thorough assessment because I know you've been ran through.
For them to pair bond with their husbands because they've had so many past partners.
So pair bonding.
Every person is having sex. That's just the reality of it. Some people want to have sex less than others. Some people want to have sex more than others. And none of that is about who they are more.
And let me tell you guys something. I say this parenthetically, that there was no woman better than the American black woman at one point. Black women were some of the best women in the world at one point. They were couth. They were God-fearing. They were good women. The black woman was a solid woman, but she was manipulated. She was manipulated by liberal dogmas. And, that's why I say she's not your woman. Most of them are not your woman. They might be your skin color, but they don't have your consciousness. They ain't your woman, man. They're not your woman.
Morally as a person.
Straight black men.
And listen, this guy here, they always want to blame black men for blaming all black men for femicide. We know there are some men that commit femicide, but it's a small percentage. We're not saying it's right. But you got a fruit. You got a fruit trying to tell a man how to be a vegetable. Imagine that, guys. A fruit, like the old folks say, fruit, not a fruit, but a fruit. You got a fruit trying to tell a heteronormative man how to be a vegetable. Make it make sense. How can a fruit tell a man how to be a vegetable? It doesn't even make any sense. But once again, guys, they got to blame the black man. Somebody got to blame the black man. So straight black men are the cancers of the community. This is what this fruit said. Straight black men, guys, are the cancer of the community. You know, straight black men, guys, we're the cancer. Guys ain't did nothing to nobody. Guys have made good choices their whole life. Straight black men, guys, are the cancer to the community.
Men are the cancer of the black community. That's where it starts and that's where it stops. Ladies, I'm here to tell y'all something.
That's what Little Richard, grandson said. Tutti frutti on Rudy. Tutti frutti on Rudy said that heteronormative straight black men are the cancer to the black community. So that means Quiet Storm and Cortez Smith and Mean Peaceful Life, you know, men that don't bother nobody. We are the cancer to the black community. I want y'all to let that marinate. Let that marinate, that we are the cancer, guys, to the black community. Instead of defending his point and saying, because to be honest with you, he's the cancer to the black community because he's not replicating black excellence. He's actually destroying black excellence by default because he can't produce with a black woman because he's too busy sword fighting. But this fruit said that a fruit trying to teach a vegetable how to be a vegetable. Make it make sense.
All this shit that y'all got going on, some of y'all, not all of y'all, with the gays and with the trans, let it go. Your issue is not a trans woman. Your issue
and see, they love men like Little Richard Nephew because these men are not a threat. A lot of women are afraid of masculinity and masculine men. So they'll get somebody like him to be the poster boy to defecate, no pun intended, on traditional black men or heteronormative black men. And he does what a lot of them do is a false equivocation that all black men are dangerous.
It's not a punk or not a sissy. Your issue is all of our issue. Straight black men.
Well, listen, it's straight black men Tutti frutti on Rudy. So, you know, you try to. I believe this man is projecting because his daddy probably left him as a little boy. I believe he's projecting because his dad left him as a little boy. You know, I believe he needs to be deliberate. He needs to be deliberate with a T. He needs to go see Andrew Caldwell and get deliberate with a not delivered with the ED on the end. He need to get deliberate with a T.
I'm not gay no more. I am delivered. I don't like men no more. I said I like women. Women.
Yeah, he don't like men's. I think he's mad because he can't get heteronormative men. He can't get heterosexual men. I think that's why he's mad. He's mad because he mad because his daddy probably left him. And he wants some strong chocolate men's with a Z on the end. So Little Richard Nephew, to the fruit on Rudy, he's mad because heteronormative men don't want to deal with him. And Little Richard Nephew wish he could get some men's to come and mess with him on the down low. Little Richard Nephew he's the one that's a threat to the black community. Guys, do me a favor, guys, hit the like button. Hit the like button, guys, and donate to the channel. Hit the like button, guys, and donate to the channel. Hit the like button, man. Donate to the channel, man.
Straight black men are the enemy to the gays. Straight black men are the enemy to the trans. Straight black men.
Imagine that. Straight black. This dude is delusional, man. Straight black men are an enemy. We ain't bothering nobody. Straight black men ain't bothering nobody. We just trying to take care of our families. You know, y'all want straight black. Little Richard wants straight black men. Want straight black women husbands. Wish he could get something on them. And then you got the other ones trying to be like women. If I was a woman, I would be offended. But that's not what Little Richard said. Little Richard said we're the problem.
Men or who are causing harm to the girls and the women. That's where it's at. Now y'all can shoot them.
There was that trauma narrative again. We causing harms to the girls and the women. But responsibly and respectfully, child abuse when it comes down to boys is child abuse or actual abuse is it happens with boys and men and women. When it comes down to domestic violence, especially, it's bi-directional. But he's trying to paint a narrative. He's a broken man. He's broken. He's broken. Bless his heart. He's broken, and he's the kind of dude that probably didn't have a daddy. Daddy probably left him, and he didn't have nobody to cultivate his masculinity. Bless his heart. And now he want to blame all men, all traditional men as being the problem to the women and the transsexuals.
Messenger, y'all can call me all type of faggots on the Shade Room and all the other blog sites that's gonna pick this up and I'll eat it. But you'll never see a situation where girls and women walking around saying they scared of the gay boys. They scared of their life for the gay boys.
Well, they better be scared of To the Fruit on Rudy, because you trying, because see, To the Fruit on Rudy, some of y'all, when y'all in prison, getting with men and transmitting, when these men get out of prison, they transmit it. So they better be scared of you, because you're trying to transmit that virus to some of them men. You hoping that you can flip them men. You hoping that you can flip them.
Boys, they don't want to be around the gay boys. It ain't us going around with these fragile ass egos, can't take rejection. We've got to ask ourselves, and I don't even know if the black straight male collective can even answer this question, because their egos tend to be so fragile.
Well, but this fool, he sounds stupid. Everybody got an ego. If you want to talk about a fragile ego, what happens when a black man tells a woman, or a man in general tells a woman no, he don't want a relationship, and she breaks his glasses out? What happens when a man say, I don't want to be with you anymore, and she tries to attempt to fight him? What happens when this same woman got to wear somebody else's hair because she doesn't love herself? What happens when a man like you got to act like a woman because you got a fragile ego, because you can't embrace your own masculinity? I mean, you're talking about fragile ego. I mean, or what happens when anytime somebody critique anything in your ecosystem, your little fragile ego can't take any criticism. Little Richard. Little Richard get mad. Anytime somebody critique him, he can come out here and disrespect heterosexual men. But anytime somebody critique Little Richard, you want to counsel people, Little Richard. I mean, to me, that's a fragile ego, Little Richard. Anytime heterosexual men or women challenge your talking point, Little Richard, you want to cancel them because your ego is fragile. So you're not making any sense, man. You're not making any sense.
How is it we are raising boys with these fragile ass egos that feel it is okay to slam girls on their head for...
There he go with a trauma narrative. There he go with a trauma narrative. Shout out to my man, Gregory Scott, the house. Guys, do my favor, guys. Hit that like button, man. Donate to the channel. There he go with his trauma narrative, man. Shout out to Gregory Scott. They love denigrating black men. Yep, you're right. Don't just be on the brick wall. They want to be men and castrate real men. Yes, sir. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Don't be the brick on the wall. 100%, man. 100%. Shout out to my homeboy, Gregory Scott. Shout out to him. But yeah, To the Fruit on Rudy, they take small samples, guys, and they falsely equivocate all black men under that small sample. And that's why I tell you guys, don't worry about this nonsense. Just focus on yourself, man. Focus on yourself. Stack your money up, man, because trying to survive with this ecosystem is crazy. Shout out to my homeboy, man, the International Quiet Storm, for that 20 spot, man. Shout out to International Quiet Storm. It's International Quiet Storm and my sister. They are the #1 sponsors of the stream. Shout out to the International Quiet Storm for showing some love, man. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you, brother, for showing some love, as you and my sister are the #1 sponsors.
It's the money.
Also, shout out to Revelator Spirit of Indifference with that $5. Thank you, Revelator, for that $5. Thank you, brother, for your kindness. Thank you, sir. But yeah, they love guys denigrating traditional black men. They love to denigrate heterosexual black men. We the problem for everything, guys. I bet you if black men went to Planet Man, got on a rocket ship, we still would be to blame. And so, you just gotta take it what it is. Just laugh at it because that's mental illness being manifest.
Saying no. Why is it that we have to make the females of the community make all the adjustments?
We got to make the females of the community make what adjustments? Little Richard. What adjustments do females of the community got to make, Little Richard? See, you were raised by your mom. You were interjected male, so you identify as a woman. You probably think you're a woman. You probably romanticize being with. Well, I know you romanticize being with men with a Z on the end, Little Richard. And so, you keep talking about these dumb talking points. But if a woman is going to get a man's leadership, she does have to bend. Both have to bend. But somehow, you said, why does a woman have to bend? Because if she's going to get with the right man, she's going to have to respect that man, Little Richard. What's wrong with you, Little Richard? But I don't expect anything from you, Little Richard, because Little Richard, guys, is trying to tell, imagine a fruit trying to tell a man how to be a vegetable. Imagine a strawberry trying to tell a man how to be a zucchini. So I don't take Little Richard serious, guys. Y'all can't take Little Richard serious.
It's not fair. Straight black men are the cancer of the black community. Argue with your mammy.
Well, hold on, Little Richard, but that ain't what the DNC said, Little Richard. Little Richard, the DNC said the black women are the backbones of the community. So you can't have it both ways, Little Rich. If the DNC said the black women are the backbones of the community and they're the stronger ones, and black men are lazy and dusty, then black women got to take the blame, Little Richard. You're not making any sense. You sound like you broken from not having your daddy in the home, Little Richard. But that's just they all love to put negative connotations on heteronormative black men. And so you just got to laugh at it, guys. You just got to laugh at it and keep your head down and keep stacking your money. So here's the attack on masculinity. As a therapist, I look at things with the bio, the psycho, the social, and the spiritual. And I'm going to show you guys. The social aspect is what Little Richard did. The social aspect is that men are disrespected. They are guilty until proven innocent. That's something called weathering. That's the weathering, guys, of masculinity. He's guilty until proven innocent. The second one is false accusations. How many men have been implicated due false accusations? I have. I'm sure some of you men have as well. The third one is cancel culture. All these things impact the essence of a man. Remember, human beings are calibrated. Human beings are a trichotomy, not a dichotomy, with soul, body, and spirit. So disrespect, false accusations, cancel culture, a feminized society where men are expected to bend, like Little Richard expect us to do, and also being attacked by effeminate men like Little Richard that says that heterosexual men are the problem. The next one, guys, is biological warfare. You can't be a calibrated masculine man if your diet is messed up. Some of you men are eating too much fat. You're not getting enough protein. You're not getting enough sleep. I'm talking about myself. You got low T. Some of you got a porn addiction, and it's leading to physical generation. Some of it's the food that make it. The food is making some of you men sick. Biological, poor diet, lack of sleep, low T, porn addiction, physical degeneration. They are waging war on masculinity. And these are the four quadrants by how men are being impacted. Now, I said earlier, the attack on manhood sometimes can lead to homicidal ideations, psychological, because as a therapist, we look at things through what's called the bio, the psycho, the social, and then the spiritual. Depression. A lot of men are depressed because they have no way out, because they're trapped in that in the man bubble. They have anxiety. They have anxiety that their wife is going to leave them. They have anxiety because their wife don't love them. They have anxiety that if their income falls off, she's not going to hold him down. They have anxiety because They don't know if the baby is his. They have anxiety because they think she's been ran through, and 9 times out of 10 she has been ran through. All this is weathering on the psyche of a man. A lot of black men in America, white and black, but especially black men, have low self-worth. They take bad deals because they got low self-worth. Black men in America take some of the worst deals in the world. They don't mind, they don't mind egalitarian relationships where the women rule just like the men lead. That would never happen in my family. I'm gonna be the leader in my household. It don't mean my woman can't have some input. Don't mean she can't give me input and I ride with her decisions sometimes. But all roads stop through King Kosher. But depression, anxiety, low self-worth. When you think about Justin Fairfax, when you think about the men that were complicit in femicide, some of these men had suicidal thoughts, but that was a breaking point. It doesn't justify what Justin Fairfax did. What he did was horrendous, and it was wrong. And that woman did not deserve to lose her life. But when you got these clowns talking about leave and, okay, well, yeah, in the moment you should leave. In the moment you should leave in the moment. But what after that? Does he have enough money to go to a therapist, where most therapists now are woke? Most therapists don't care about men. Most therapists will say that men are the problem. Can he go to a safe haven where he can rest his head? Is there shelter that can accommodate him as a man? Men don't have the same marriage and rights as women and children. Men are still held to modern traditional standards while women can be modern. And then at some point that man has a mental breakdown. Paternity fraud. No fault divorce. False accusations. Loss of assets, loss of wages, undermining his authority, undermining his leadership, going back to exes. That's why I tell you men, don't fall in love. Never telegraph your own destruction as a man. You love within reason, but you never fall in love. You're a fool to fall in love. There was a song called Why Do Fools Fall in Love? Don't fall in love. I didn't say not to love her. But you better not fall in love, because you are telegraphing your own doom. And then the last one is spiritual. The last one is spiritual. Attacks on faith, masculine women, Luciferian agendas, pornography, and spiritual manipulation in the form of Jezebel. Most of this stuff is spiritual. That's why I'm going to stop wasting my time talking to obtuse people. Because it's spiritual. It's spiritual. It's tied to witchcraft. And if you don't believe me, when they can't control the masculine man, they're going to either be the victim, or some of these women are going to perform wholecraft. Some of these women are performing wholecraft on men. And I'm going to show it to you. Now look at this, guys. Y'all thought I was crazy. Y'all thought Kosher was crazy. Shout out to Miss Kosher for sending me this. But Megan Thee Stallion, witches cursed Klay Thompson, guys. I've showed you guys the 4 dimensions of how masculinity is being eroded. Biological, social, psychological, and spiritual. The lack of masculine authority in the home. But also these women now are performing witchcraft. They're performing wholecraft. But see, when you're in Christ, you can bind that stuff up. When you're in Christ, you can tell that witch, you can bind that witch up. Because see, when you're a believer, wholecraft ain't got no power over you. You can look that witch in the eye and say, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. You can tell that witch, I rebuke you in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Oh, you can get on your knees and get in the spirit and get in the Holy Spirit and get in the spirit of Jehu and look that witch in the eye and say, I bind you up, witch, in the name of the great Holy Spirit, doing it by the power of Yeshua HaMashiach, who is Jesus Christ. And that witch can't do nothing. When you praying and fasting, that witch gonna have to flee, because that witch ain't got no power over you. When you're operating in the spirit of Jehu, you're operating in the spirit of masculinity. It can do nothing to you. It can do nothing to you. You can look it straight in the eye and stand on the authority of the Jehu spirit, which is masculine. And that witch ain't got no other choice but to back up. She can't do nothing to you.
Clay is the Duke. Clay lost the game. Clay has no fame. Clay has no hoes. Clay has no goals. Clay has to cough. Can't find a hall. Clay wants to shoot. Can't find the ball. Megan is joyful. Megan is free. Megan is outside, twerking on one knee.
Now she putting wholecraft on them guys. They're up there putting wholecraft on Clay Thompson. Because Clay Thompson said, I'm gonna do what I want to do. Clay Thompson said, I'm not gonna pay no whole tax. And Megan got mad. Megan, these 304s got mad. Because Clay Thompson said, I'm not gonna pay no whole tax. He said, I'm not gonna pay the whole tax. Yeah, Cortez, we grew up seeing men get abused, not women. These dudes literally, Coach, this dude literally a government agent. Remember, Fox has him on the payroll to talk about black men. Wow.
Megan is happy. Megan is rich. Megan has met another man who's not a bitch.
I hustle, I get it, I get it, I get it. I am not seeking approval. Escucha las palabras de las brujas.
Look at them guys. They speaking in whole tongues, man. They speaking in whole tongues, trying to put a hex on Clay Thompson.
Megan is happy. Megan is rich. Megan has met another man who's not a bitch.
I hustle, I get it, I get it, I get it. I am not seeking approval. Escucha las palabras de
Yes, yeah, they're around circles chanting. But they said men trying to control women. If you're trying to put hexes on men, you're trying to control them. Because see, stubbornness is idolatry. But when you rebel against masculinity, it's the spirit of witchcraft. The modern woman practices witchcraft because she rebels against masculine authority. She rebels against leadership, and she's a slave to her feelings. She's stubborn. And like Maggie said, and like Luke said, they're gonna dig their feet down. Like I told you, they will rather rule in heaven. They will rather rule in hell than to be submissive in heaven, man.
las brujas.
I would like to host a Clay Thompson hexing competition where
This is demonic, bro. This is witchcraft. The only thing covering you from all these witches is the blood of Jesus. Clay Thompson cheated on Megan Thee Stallion, and now it started a whole like gender war sponsored by Satan, who wants men to hate women and women to hate men. Reality is,
and understand, guys. Listen, I don't think I hope you men don't hate women. I love women. If you get a good woman that's gonna love you, but I know most of these chicks don't believe in traditional masculinity anymore, and that's okay. But I would argue that most men love women. It is hard to find good ones here in America. It is hard to find them here in America. Oh, yes, they are, Tanya, Steve. Yeah, Christian women. Oh, they are. Oh, yeah, they're getting involved in witchcraft there. It might not be direct, but when you rebel against leadership, when you challenge masculine leadership there, that's witchcraft. It's not always a woman sitting around chanting. It could be in the form of rebellion. It ain't always Tanya Stevens got to be a woman with incantations and candles and burning smudge and sage. Because some people are a little slow. It's one thing to smudge. When you are smudging, that's witchcraft. It's another thing just to burn the incense. Burning the incense is not witchcraft. It's just an incense. Just like you put sage in food. You put sage in food. Does that mean you practice a witchcraft? If you burn a frankincense, if you burn myrrh, if you burn an incense that happens to be sage, it's not necessarily the sage incense that make it wrong. It's what you do with it that make it wrong. But if you use sage and put it around a rope and you smudging, then that's witchcraft because you're trying to call on evil spirits. But some folks are not that bright because they think, if you burn an incense, that you're a witch. So based on that logic, the streets of heaven are paved with gold. They're all precious stones in heaven, crystals, beryl. And so if there are crystals in heaven, does that mean that the believers in heaven are practicing witchcraft, or is it what you do with that crystal that make it witchcraft? But see, some people lack comprehension skills, so they don't know the difference between using a crystal for evil versus using just having a crystal in your house for the sake of anything. using a crystal for evil is one thing. Having a crystal in your house as part of decoration is something else, because there are gold crystals and precious stones in heaven. No different than is a person a witch. They put sage in their food when they cook food. People put sage in sausage. Does that make them a witch? If a person burns a sage incense, does that make them practicing witchcraft? But see, some folks are not that bright, so they assume if you burn a sage incense, you're a witch. Not knowing that there's a difference between smudging when you get sage and wrapping in a rope and you spreading it around, calling on evil spirits. But some folks just don't know how to think because they're not that bright.
Though we both need each other. Men need women and women need men. Klay Thompson is not right, but wanting him to die, doing hexes and spells, wanting him to get sick, gossiping, slandering him, and just trying to destroy his reputation and all this stuff is not right. And Megan, you got to take some accountability. I'm going to read to y'all some lyrics. I'm a rich magnet, pretty.
But of course, Meg Thee Stallion was the victim. It's power being a victim. If they ain't a victim, they don't have no power. So they got to always be the victim. They're going to be the victim and blame the black man. Just like Lucifer blamed God. They're going to always be the victim because the victim makes them feel safe. They love being the victim.
With a fatty, your man buying stuff for me. He know it ain't free. If he ain't rich, it ain't worth it. Only thing you need to know is I'm in love with the money. So men are only good for money and to be used, and you don't mind another man cheating on his woman as long as it's with you. You know you can't control me, baby. Handle me? Who gonna handle me? Thinking he's a player? He's a member on the team. You got a whole team of men, but God forbid you on his team of women.
Right. I told you that's control and witchcraft. They want to subjugate the man. That's what I call wholecraft. They want to subjugate.
He want to lock me down. I'm outside. I choose me every time. You outside. You don't want a ring. You don't want to be a wife. You don't want to be loyal. And then you want a man to be loyal. You mad he wasn't loyal. Mandatory. I get the head, but no guarantees. If you ain't want a pimp, then what you with me for? Sexuality is your leverage and your identity. Music represents no limits, no restrictions. So you intentionally flipping bad male behavior on women and telling women to be like the men that y'all claim to hate. According to you, Megan, men are just tools and accessories and a paycheck. You can't move like this, talk like this, promote this mindset, and then be shocked at the kind of men that show up into your life. It's good people out here, it's bad people out here, bro. We gotta stop acting like women don't be as horrible, bro. You don't even want a man with standards. They get labeled weird, controlling, toxic, insecure. Empowering women should never look like telling you to be like the worst examples of a man. Bro, you can't disrespect men, treat them like disposable, like they don't mean nothing, and then you want a ring from them. And a lot of these celebrity women online telling you to move this way don't even move like that behind closed doors. It's literally miserable women making other women miserable. We lost the understanding of wife, of gentle, of feminine, of womanhood. When you say all I got is cat to put on the table, so you attract men that just want some cat, why you mad? Now y'all doing witchcraft on men, wanting them to die and all that, bro. This is witchcraft, this is demonic. Megan, the Bible says he who finds a wife finds a good thing. You want to be a wife, act like a wife, become a wife, and let a man who wants a wife find you.
Oh yeah. And guys, that's the world that we live in. Anyway, I'm going to play this and then we're going to end it, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. This was a good show, guys. We're 3 minutes in, 3 hours in. We got to end this, guys. But this is the power of femininity, guys. Let me tell you men something. Let me tell you brothers something. We living in crazy times, guys. We living in crazy times. We are living in crazy times. And to you single men like Quiet Storm, to you single brothers like Top Gun, or any other single brother that's listening, I want to see you guys get the best. Focus on your health, focus on your money, keep your head down. Love God, man. Get your soul right with the Creator, the Most High, Yeshua, Jesus. And I pray the Lord bless you with a good woman, man. You guys know the men that listen, they don't hate women. We love good women. They're just hard to find. Maggie said it. She's a femininity coach. They're just hard to find, man. And it is what it is. But you can waste your time being stressed out, or you can do what the old folks say, think I'll run on and see what the end gonna be. So anyway, guys, we're gonna end it here. I thank you guys for tuning in. Shout out to the Quiet Storm and my sisters for being the #1 sponsors. And guys, we're gonna end it here. Y'all take care.
Happens when a man becomes trapped by love and modern femininity forsakes him.
interesting to me that these are the same women shouting from the rooftops when they're our age that they feel invisible, that it's hard, that where are all the good men, that being single is so sad and depressing. So this is the wisdom, young ladies, if you're willing to listen. When you get older, you will be so grateful to not have to do the last third of life by yourself.
The hoe tax and the hoe too. Jesus pipeline exposed.
What I realize when I talk to women, especially when they get to my age and they have not found a relationship, it is now that they're pining for the opportunities of the past when that nice guy or that good guy gave them a chance, but they thought they could do better than him. A lot of relationships fail because we expect too much from each other. Meaning, not only are you supposed to be my husband, you're supposed to be my best friend, my brunch buddy, my therapist, my workout partner, all of that. And we have lost that a husband is a role, a man is a man, he's not your bestie, and a woman is a woman. We are not equal. We are equal in value, but we are very different. And a wife is a role. And I think the example that we had at home growing up, we saw that polarity.
You know, Paco, winter is coming. I remember a time where most women had husbands. And Kevin Samuels talks about a time called winter. And, you know, winter not only symbolizes the seasons that are about to come, but winter symbolizes a stage in life. When you look at some of your... Yes, ma'am, go ahead. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I am in the storm. Okay? I got a part-time job. I'm a tax expert. So I only work during tax season. I'm 60 years old. I don't have retirement. My family is spread across the country.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I don't have a strong black man who I love black men in my life. I'm not mad. I know my time is past.
Wow.
But I am in the winter.
Wow.
I'm in the storm.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, dear. Let me ask you a question. Do you feel like there was a time when you had a viable black man, but you forfeited that by sometime bad choices?
1,000% correct.
Oh my God.
I was married.
Right.
I was fine as hell. And I thought that I was black girl magic.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's why I know the death mentality. And I thought that I was.
Go ahead, keep talking. You said you thought you were black girl magic. Keep talking, Parker.
Oh, but life and reality woke me up.
So I've seen you on a lot of other different men's channels. Why is it so important for you to support men and male content? And tell me about it. Why is that so important for you?
It's important because we need men in our society. And it seems that we are, every turn we take, men are being placed as a lower section of society, and they are the ones that have built this incredible society for us. So my focus is we need to get back on appreciating what they've done for us, what they are doing for us, and what they will continue doing for us. But we need to appreciate what, who they are, and their strength on being masculine and providing for the families and maintaining society. So that's my main goal when I speak about protecting and defending our men